Good evening and welcome to our budget workshop meeting for Monday, May 13th, 2024. It is 6:36 p.m. We have a full quorum present with council members Karn, Gay, Arnold, and McKenzie. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We're going to go ahead. Most of what we're going to be talking about tonight is in the police department, but we're going to start with the executive office organizational chart. Questions on the org chart?
A couple of things. So you got grant manager under executive. I just assumed that was just going to be, under you, of course, but I don't know how it ended up in executive. At one point, director of airport affairs was not under the executive. It was just the department under the city manager as well. So not that it makes much of a difference, but and the assistant, now that's no longer a position there, right? Okay. All right, so we just want to make sure. Or is there's still?
Yeah, it's not funded.
That's correct.
You just said it wasn't.
It isn't. It isn't funded.
Why is it not funded?
All right.
The council
Yeah, we defunded that. Yeah, I think we defunded that.
I thought.
Well, when we, I think when we, that was the first of the year. Yeah, when we declined the org chart.
Yes, the hiring.
The one.
It was the meeting.
That, but,
When we made
okay, but not,
So when we made the decision.
The org
that part
change.
would go back,
Right.
it funded the,
Well, essentially,
No, there was
well,
a
it was
there
a.
was a motion, but there was discussion about not hiring for the city manager.
There was.
Cease, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when
All right.
for the new year,
with
then the
with
6%
Stanley,
cut,
maybe?
and also the 6% cut because there was a request to not hire an assistant city manager.
Gotcha.
So at some point
that
we'll need
wasn't
a
council.
permanent.
The
city
6% cut was not the council. We never voted on the 6% cut.
No, that was-
No,
That
that's the
was-
city
All right,
manager.
okay.
I get that.
I want to clarify.
But you're right, we did not, the council didn't make a decision on whether or not we wanted to do assistant city manager or any other type of role to support the city manager.
I think Hans had the discussion on the council about not hiring to do away with the hiring of the assistant city manager. That probably happened in January.
No, it had to be happening.
It happened in
It
December
was.
because we didn't have any meetings in
It
December.
was. It was. It was.
If a decision was made, I think it was made before.
No.
Or was made after.
Yes. I would have Queenie pull the minutes
Yeah, we
about
need
what
to
the
pull the
comment that was made because the assistant city manager's position was being advertised at that time, and yeah.
Okay, well, we need to, I
Well,
think we need to revisit
We need to
that.
revisit that.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're saying, this number that we're going to look at, this clump together, does not include an assistant city manager position.
That's
What
correct.
positions are included when we get there? I mean, is on this chart is
Yes, ma'am.
grant
Everything
manager?
with the exception of the grant manager and the assistant city manager. Those are the two positions that are not
We
funded.
definitely need the grant manager position.
I thought that
Whether
was.
or not if it belongs under the
It would-
city manager, might need to go with
I think
economic
it's economic
development.
development.
But it definitely, we need that position.
I would suggest it be a standalone department because of the fact that it touches all of the departments, finding grants for police, assisting with grants for fire, assisting with grants for parks and rec, and everybody. I think it's. Hopefully that position. Well, if it's just an department and they're, I would just leave it to the city manager. That's just me, but either way, it's going back to the same person.
It's going to be under.
It's going to be back to the same person anyhow.
At some point, we're going to do a search for a city manager, right?
Absolutely.
That's the plan.
So it seems to me, well, first of all, I think we should do that sooner rather than later. I think we need to expedite that process. But also that person might have a view about how the organization should be structured and to give that person the flexibility. And perhaps it's something that we talk about mid-year if they would need an assistant or something along those lines. But I think it should at least be in the back of our minds that
That's a good.
Well,
That's
I
a,
have a question, Mayor. So you said sooner than later. Is there a reason that you're saying sooner? I know that we've had an interim city manager in this city for about 14 months. Dr. Adediran has only been with us for maybe months, no more than 4. Can you explain why you're saying sooner versus later?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
First of all, with our last interim city manager, the council instituted a hiring freeze, so that person was not allowed to hire department heads. And with the rationale that the person coming in should be able to pick their own team. So considering that we have a dearth of department heads right now, it would seem prudent to get the person at the top so then they could assemble their team and we could work to have someone at the helm of the ship who would be permanent.
Well, I wouldn't support a hiring freeze right now. We need to fill positions, but to your point, we need to, if we're going to post a position out, we need to go in and get it out as soon as possible. Where's Krista? Where's Krista? Is she coming?
Yes.
All right. I guess usually when we put it out for 30 days and see what we get, I think it's
I think usually
Probably
we
a
could
good
use
idea.
a hiring firm.
well, a hiring firm has gotten us not great candidates, so no, I think we put it out on the regular channels that we utilize, and at the end of the day, what I've seen over the years is that you use a hiring firm or a recruiter, you pay them $30,000-$40,000, and you get the same pool of applicants. You're not going to get a higher quality from a recruiter. The quality of applicants is based on the salary range, and that's what brings in the what you're looking for. And if our range is the same as it's been, I think we're going to get pretty much top notch that the country's got to offer or whatever have you. So I'll just say we go in and get it out. If we're going to get it out, we put it out and see what we get back and narrow them down and do some interviews and see where we're at.
I have a question in regards to that comment. Who's gonna do the review of the applications?
Good question.
So that's why a placement firm makes sense, right?
Well,
Because
yeah.
making sure that we do get the best qualified applicants, at least the top 3, and then, maybe then we can go from there, but not, putting the position out and it's going out, let's just say countrywide, we're receiving applications and somebody has to vet
So,
those
you're
applications
right.
to
Good
make
point.
sure that
Good
we're
point.
getting the appropriate people at the table.
So we ought to use a recruiter firm to at least sift through what we get. That way
But
we
that's
can,
the whole purpose of it,
right, but
right.
we can save some money from them posting it out because it's going out to the same places, essentially.
Maybe not.
I
I mean,
mean-
that's not necessary. Depending on the firm,
Yeah.
you may have a firm that has, already has a list of individuals that they've been keeping up with,
Point.
or a pool of candidates that they've also been grooming for positions like this. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we get a firm.
I think the point is that we have, over the past, since 2021, we have gone through about 6 or 7 city managers. We have hired 2 of those persons using that technique, and it has not been fruitful for us. Not to say that if first you don't succeed, don't try again. But I think either way you look at it, we have a challenge before us, and maybe we should just table this conversation until we've done a little research on it and can talk about it more. Because that's my perspective. I just had a question for the mayor. I was just wondering why she was saying sooner than later when we have had city managers who are interim who have been here for over a year, and they hired, and we continued to hire and fire people. We terminated tens of scores of people left the city under interim, and several got jobs in the city during the process of having interim over the past 3 years. I have all the statistics, but I won't go into them right now.
I thought I answered your question, did I not?
Not really,
Okay.
not really.
And-
I mean, you answered it because you gave, I guess, what your perspective was, but I'm coming back saying to you that, well, first, what Councilman Carn said in terms of the firms that we have had to do the searches, that it has not been fruitful, but also the fact that we have had interim city managers who continue to do hiring and firing. in the city. So we did decide at one point to freeze it. I was not on the council at that time. So I'm just saying, we've done it always. So what brought you to the point where this is the way that you feel it should be done now? I just thought maybe you would give us a little bit more perspective on how you feel about the way the government looks at this time.
I think it's really important to get a permanent person at the helm, because I think that person can help recruit and retain new department heads and help right the ship.
Oh, that part, no, I agree with that. I was just asking you, what changed basically for you over the past 4 years?
What's changed?
Well, while you were the mayor, we had an interim city manager. That's all I'm just saying, that was here for over a year. And so you're bringing a different perspective to the table. So I just wanted to know what brought the change. But that's a conversation you and I can have.
Oh, I mean, I don't have any problem. I mean,
No, I'm just saying we're going away from the budget meeting. So I didn't want to continue with that. Let's just go ahead.
Did I answer your question?
You gave me an answer.
Okay. Was it
I
incomplete?
was trying to see what changed for you. That's all. That's what I was trying to get an idea of what changed for you with the hiring of the city manager. That's all.
I think we should move in that direction because it's really important to have a permanent person at the helm.
That's fine. Okay.
So we discuss it, we talk about it at
Yeah, I just think
couple
it's
meetings from
probably
now, or
something,
how?
because we could probably go on for 2 hours with this, and I don't want to.
At the end of the day, I believe that we need to have a placement firm in place.
I would agree.
Positions. I don't think that, I am not, I think that I'm a very talented person, but I am not so qualified that I want to go through hundreds of applications to make sure that we're getting the right person in the appropriate seats.
Me
That
neither.
We need to make sure that we have a firm on retainer, contract, whatever it is that we do. Let them do that work for us and present us with the best candidates. Now, we have the opportunity to still push back. We don't have to accept what they give us verbatim. We can, look through it, and if we're still not satisfied, put them back to the task. But I don't think that we should be the ones looking through hundreds of applications.
So I would have never suggested that we do.
But I'm just
No.
saying.
No, I was just.
Oh,
talking about
we
the time
would never do
we're
that.
gonna go, how we're gonna go about the search.
Well,
I want to see the.
well, let me rephrase
Yeah,
that a
I
little
only
bit.
want to see the top
Not
3 or 4.
necessarily mayor and council. I don't even think that we should be putting that on the current staff.
I would agree.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear. I don't necessarily mean us, because of course we're not doing the work, but the staff shouldn't have to do that work. We should get a firm in place to take care of those tasks.
All right.
Any questions on the executive office org chart beyond what we've already discussed?
So are we looking at moving the grant manager? I mean, is that gonna be a part, will that continue to be under the executive office?
Well, it's under the city manager. I mean, at the end of the day, that person answers to the
Okay.
city manager. Is this 2
I
each?
think I messed my packet up.
Is it 2 of them?
Oh, yeah.
5% and one is 3.
I messed
Oh.
up. I
So
really
then
messed
I
up.
have-
This is,
That's
yeah,
fine.
that's my packet right there, I think. Thank you. Thank you, Krista.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Hopefully this will help us too as we're having our conversations, y'all.
okay.
I see a
So you have
4% and
I
5%.
mean, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. 4 and 5. 4 is the max.
You said 4 with the max. What
4
is?
is the max of 3. I know they're very small.
You should have 2 different copies.
Yeah.
So in the next to last column,
This one is different than
in the
that.
next to last column, look at 4 or 5.
Crystal, what I'd like to see also is a 24-25 salary matching the COLA for 24, which is 3.2% according to the government. So I'd like to see what that looks like.
3.2%.
Last time I checked, 3.2.
I think it was 3.3 when I checked.
Maybe it moved for you. But when I looked, it was 3.2, but there's only one number.
Okay.
So let's. I'd like to just see what that looks like.
Okay.
All right, moving on to
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I did, there is something that's here. Now, I do recall us talking about, the executive assistants, the city manager's position, that assistant or that person, that role supervising these other two roles. We did talk about that. I remember talking about that.
Well, the executive assistant for the city manager would.
Correct.
Yeah.
We
And-
made, and we also did, an adjustment there.
Yep, yes, we did. That's right.
So
And
now,
that's,
why
that's,
aren't those positions showing?
that's not an executive. What's her name? She's
Melanie.
she's in another budget, but she had.
This is the position right here.
Oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Oh, executive assistant. I'm looking right at it. I'm sorry. She did get her bump.
No, but Melanie is from a temporary agent.
That's fine,
But
but
the
still,
salary
position,
line got the
org
bump.
chart
It got the
needs to be
increase.
fixed.
Okay, it did get the
So we
increase.
need to move
The executive assistants under the executive assistants to the
The
city.
supervisor,
And actually,
right,
they're
that's the
the
supervisor.
legislative, the legislative assistants is actually what their title.
All right.
Anything else on the org chart?
I'm good.
Move on to page 1.
Okay, so just for a point of clarification, Althea, when I'm looking at this $505,047, this is the salaries of the city manager, the 2 legislative assistants, the executive assistant to the city manager, and the director of airport affairs. It does not include assistant city manager or grant manager.
Correct. It does not include the budget for
Okay.
those 2 positions.
I definitely want to look. I'm really confused as to why we had put something out to hire a grant manager, and that was not included in the 2024-25 budget.
That was probably a 6% cut.
Right.
So,
But why would we cut such an important position? If we're cutting things, why cut something that we need?
Well, it wasn't the intent to cut this position at all, but the interim city manager asked for us to do a 6% decrease in the budget, and that was the only budget number big enough that would hit that 6% out of that. I think it was a 700,000 or so. So the grant manager, yes, we most certainly need that position. The grant manager, when looking at the job duties and things like that, a manager does a lot more than a coordinator. The amount for the budget initially was $75,000,
Which is low.
which is very low. And we put it out when I came on board. It was put out. I looked at the job description again, made some adjustments, sent it to our lobbyists. Hey, take a look at this. You work with grant managers all the time. Let's go through it and add in some additional things and bring the salary up so we can get the quality talent we're looking for. So we've done that, and that is what I'm asking for today. The range changed. The range changed from 75,000 to 113,000.
113 is mid-range, or is that the beginning?
That is at the top of the range.
That's the top.
The very.
So it starts, what is the mid-range then for that if it's 113?
1 second.
Well, it'd be somewhere between 75 and 113. Now, one thing I've seen us do before, and this is just a suggestion, you ain't gonna get too much of nobody with a $75,000, if that's on the advertisement. But sometimes you could start at midpoint up to max.
So the
And that
current,
may,
right, so
that may attract more people. So I've seen it where we don't go from the low, especially when it's a kind of a specialty position that we're actually hoping to get some good candidates. Sometimes we'll start at mid up to there. And that's not a guaranteed salary. That's just depending on your qualifications and experience, of course, with all salary ranges. So maybe if we say 70 anything, I don't think we're gonna get nobody worth their salt.
that's correct. So the previous salary range was $53,727 to $66,221. Very, very low. So it's we looked at raising it to $71,714.29 as a starting, and then at the end of the top of that range, $111,157.15. So, Councilman Carn is correct. We were looking at a middle range based on experience of the applicant.
Middle range of these two.
95,000 would be the middle range.
Depending on, it'd be probably in the 80s, 85, something like that, depending on what the applicant brings to the table.
Again, I'm just 71,000 is the beginning range, you said? And
Yes. Versus the previous 53,000.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't gonna get anybody unless you're talking about somebody part-time just to help us with a couple of grants. Again, this is a position to me that is too important to not have. I had to find out from a member of the community that this had not been funded. I thought that it was funded because we were interviewing for this position. And this is a position that can bring millions and millions of dollars to the city. And right now we just have a haphazard, different departments, different people are trying to apply for grants, and it needs to be centralized, and we definitely need this position. So that's my 45 cents on it.
We talked about it last week, that it wasn't funded. I mean, I thought that was when
No,
you...
I found out last week before we talked about it.
Oh, okay. You sounded surprised last week.
No,
so-
I said from a member of the community, I was told within the last 10 days since we've been in budget, why is it not being funded? I'm like, it is funded, we're interviewing for it.
I thought it was too, but that answers my question. The 6%, and you took it out. Now that 113 is way more than 6% of your budget, but I guess that was the only place you had. But obviously, everybody came in at 6%, but that doesn't mean we put back what we decided to put back. So okay, I understand why, because I thought it was funded too. But
So I
got
have a
it.
question.
I'm just trying to figure out, someone else found out it wasn't funded before a council person found out it wasn't funded.
In reference to the grant manager position, is the expectation for the role to not only write the proposals to solicit the funds, but will they also be doing the administration?
Yes, they'll be doing the administration, the managing, the reporting, and we'll work with finance to ensure that everything is budgeted correctly, that we're able to draw down the funds appropriately, and we report to the state and the federal government accordingly.
Then
Progress.
this salary is, you understand where my mind is going, right?
Initially, they wouldn't be managing the grants, but that was the initial intent of the position, was just to go out and seek grants, but to manage them and also do the reporting.
That this is not going to be appropriate for a salary, or you're going to have another person.
Exactly.
And that was initially the goal, was to bring in, initially at the beginning of the budget process, but that's changed quite a bit. So having the grant manager, we would need to have a grant coordinator or a grant assistant to assist with this. So the grant assistant would work with all the department heads, find out what the priorities are, start soliciting and looking for, make sure we have the local funds to.
I just want to make sure that my colleagues understand that this is
not
not
for
it.
both.
Right,
So
this is
you
not
know
it.
So
right. So
so either
the reality is that we can get someone in here and write the proposals to seek the funds and get the funds, but there has to be a specialist on staff to manage those the reports, the required reporting that goes with these grants.
so that we can keep them and not
Exactly.
get flagged. So which one? So either up this salary by a bit or bring on an extra person.
Typically, when you have someone who's writing for the grants, they specialize in that. That's what they do.
Okay.
You usually have a grants administrator, a person who is like a financial analyst or does financial administration that is the person who is making sure that things are budgeted appropriately, that the spending matches what is inside of the regulation, and that the reporting is done to the entity that provided the funds.
Gotcha.
Right now, each department manages their own grants. And like Parks and Recreation, they typically utilize the CDBG grants, and they have someone on contract that they use to conduct the reporting for them, make sure
point.
yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, you can't, you have to.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, so we need to look at that. But I think
I'm just
I
saying
think
that
we're gonna have some wiggle room to make sure we can add. if we
Right.
need
The
to.
point that I'm making is that if we're saying that the goal here, and just to make sure that we're being thoughtful about the decisions that we're making, if the goal here is that we're going to hire somebody to bring in this money, and they're supposed to be focusing on every department in the city, then how then does the administration, the management of those funds and the reporting, how do you expect for that to flow?
Right. Good point. Yeah, because we want to keep them and close them. Yeah,
Yeah, because
Right, you're right.
getting a grant is only one stage.
keeping
You
it.
have to adhere to everything that is required, and you have to have really good bookkeeping. Take it from a nonprofit leader. It's serious, and it is a very, very detailed position, and we need to be like, as Councilwoman Arnold said, we've got to be thoughtful in terms of this. But again, I do believe that bringing this on is going to be a wonderful plus for our municipality, and something that we can't afford to not do. So we got to find a way to afford what we can afford not to do.
Mayor Pro Tem, you gonna be our grants manager? No, all right. I was just checking. You mighty quiet over there. I thought you was about to float your resume.
Any additional questions on page 1?
I guess I just
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, when, right, with
It's the same thing.
the position considerations,
I
I
know
think
where you're coming
that
from.
we're gonna have to put some money back in when it comes to, what was the position again? Chief of Staff? Or what was it? The grants manager, and whatever we were saying, for the assistant city manager, chief of staff, whatever we're gonna call the position.
But I was gonna.
So we're adding back both the grants manager and the assistant city manager position. Well, we're funding those.
I
May
mean,
I make a suggestion about
Yeah.
the assistant city manager?
Absolutely.
That we fund it at 50%,
Okay,
because by the time
at least we'll have something there.
we get a city manager in, we'll probably, and that person sort of gets their feet wet, we might be at the end of the year anyway, that they would
Good
be
point.
hiring for the second half of the fiscal year.
That sounds good.
Good
That's
point.
fair enough. I like it.
Althea, what exactly is 50% including benefits and the whole package?
for the assistant city manager position.
We put in, I think, 120 last time around.
Probably just.
Yeah, that was without the benefits.
Yes, so that's like a 30%.
So we're talking
Around 150.
74,000 almost, 170,000 with benefits on 120,000.
Whose position, or what position,
about the assistant
what was,
city
I know, but what was this that was in the request, but we backed it out? Was that for the assistant city manager? So that 125 was for
Oh,
the
yeah, we
grants,
said 125.
for the grants manager?
No, see, What happened, basically, whoever entered the city manager's budget, just basically copied last year's budget. And we initially requested those positions, and that was the grant position and an additional executive assistant position. We requested that for 23-24's budget, and they basically just copied over that request again in 24-25. So that wasn't a request for this year. Put it that way. It was a prior year request. And I had the assistant city manager total cost at $188,000.
Okay. So what
So
was the
half of
salary
that.
you were setting? So it's more than 125,000 for that
It
then?
was $131,000.
Oh, okay. 131,000.
I think that's what the prior assistant city manager was making. If I'm not mistaken.
I thought he was at 120.
I did too.
Yeah, that's what
When
I
we
thought he
had
was at.
one.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I think it was 120, but last time
No, actually, it's a higher, I have it at a higher cost based on
Really?
the salary study that was conducted.
oh,
They
yeah,
increased
that would have jumped
Yeah,
it
they
up.
did increase the assistant city manager's salary based on the salary
Yeah, but
study.
he came in at 120.
He didn't receive it though. This didn't go into effect until July. So the based on the salary study, seems like we should be paying the city manager $157,000 based on the city manager's salary.
Assistant city manager?
Yes.
157.
For the assistant,
Yes. Because the city manager's position
It's 200.
in the 200s based on the
Gotcha.
salary study.
gotcha, okay.
Salaries were a lot different.
Yeah,
You're talking.
and that when I said that comp study was skewed, that's what I mean.
I mean,
But that's neither here nor there. We put it in, we got it in there, and yeah.
Additional questions on page 1.
Okay, that was two, isn't it?
All right, moving on to page 2.
Okay. I'm looking at the conventions meetings. Is that our travel?
No,
Is that the travel? 56, 52, 62, 36. What is that?
that's where that's mine.
And was it
62,
supposed?
6230 is city manager.
I had
But-
started
Okay.
by both of those.
Which
So,
one is the manager?
What I thought that all of is that your travel?
You're in legislative.
Yeah,
Council's in legislative.
this is just the mayor. You saying this is now? Is this just? It's
No,
62.
no. I understand. I'm not looking for the council's number.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for what is budgeted for.
Is this
Is
just
the mayor budgeted 10,000 or is the mayor budgeted 11,000? I mean, so what happens when we go over our budget? If you're given 10,000 and what does it come from somewhere else? Or I mean, if you go over your travel budget, I mean, this is not to pull out the mayor, but this is a question I have for.
You can either use your discretionary funds as well. So you have the mayor has always had a $20,000 budget.
20,000 for
10,000 for discretionary and 10,000 for travel. So if you go over and travel, you can use your discretionary.
they're
as well.
both
Didn't
interchangeable.
understand that, and so the question is not directed towards her. It was just for me to bring that up. So basically, what you're saying is that even though we break it down as 10,000 and 10,000, we are given $20,000 to use for travel or discretionary or both.
Well, you can use your discretionary for travel, but you can't use your travel for discretionary, if you get what I'm saying. So if you go over in discretionary, you can't, well, the way it's been done in the past, you wouldn't move money from your travel to,
Well, they're both interchangeable. I thought they ran both ways, but now one other thing we also used to do is, depending on the travel situation or whatever have you, if someone was out of travel funds, if there was funds left over, like I remember at one point I gave what I had remainder to, it was either Slider or Chuck or somebody, and he just took what I wasn't going to use or whatever. So, in a sense, they're individual silos for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, but at the same time, it's a pool of money in one sense. some years we get folks that don't travel much. Some years we get folks that travel do. Sometimes it's just a lot of travel. Sometimes it's not a whole lot of travel. I mean, I would imagine when I was gone in the county, it wasn't a whole lot of travel because of COVID, I would imagine. You know, I could be wrong, but I know the planes weren't flying much, and I guess the conventions weren't happening. So, you know, I don't know what happened to. I guess that money went back into the general at that point. But so there were three different things.
Okay.
It used to go both ways: travel to discretionary to travel, and or if there was some situation or whatever have you, then you know it would be a situation like that where I've thrown money to somebody to travel, and I've had a situation where they've given me something to travel, but that's neither here nor there. But that's just however we
Okay.
figure we want to.
So basically, Althea, amongst the members, the 5 members of the governing body, which is the 4 council members and the mayor, we have $100,000 discretionary account.
Not discretionary.
Travel.
Discretionary and travel.
Correct.
Travel
Right.
and discretion.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
That is
Okay.
correct.
And so if, for some reason, if we wanted to be nice to each other and one person ran out, we could, any of the 5 of us could say, hey, can you help a brother or sister out?
Correct.
Okay, just want to get it clear. All right,
It's
just,
been done.
y'all might be hitting your.
Don't run out of money.
Now, what happens if there is no money and you've already spent it?
Typically, you would come back before council and ask them to allot more additional funds, or the city manager sometimes offer up their travel budget.
Okay.
Additional questions on page 2.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I
got a lot.
Yeah, I had the line above there, 526230. And it was for the ICMA annual conference. So are we members of, or for the convention, are we members of ICMA? Okay, all right, which is the same,
All city
Typical
managers.
city
That's the
manager.
all the city managers certifications.
okay, and isn't that the same organization that posts our positions when we have open positions? Don't they have like a job board?
They do have a job.
Okay, all right. I think that we should make sure that if we are members of that organization, that, you know, we were talking earlier about making sure that our open positions are posted. We have nothing there.
Right,
Oh,
there's nothing there.
We definitely need money there to post there.
So if we're paying for membership,
Amen.
our positions
We
need to be on
posted.
that job board.
Krista.
I don't know if it's a
Oh,
city membership
Chris-
or if we pay for the city manager.
Krista.
Understood.
Well, no,
Well,
we
we
pay
probably
for their
need to-
memberships.
Yeah.
We
We
need to-
all of the city managers we pay it, but we need to
clarify
advertise
whether
it.
or not if the membership is just for the city manager or if it's for the city.
I think it's for the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so, in the past, when we've used recruiting firms, they have posted on ICMA
Yeah.
when looking
Yeah.
for a city manager.
Gotcha. We need a recruiting firm ASAP.
Krista,
Yes, sir.
when we put out department heads or managers, well, how many different outfits? I know we used to use like Gov Jobs and some of the other outfits. Can you just get a list of how many, where that goes out to when we do a department level or manager level search? So everybody kind of, all right.
Okay, I do have a few more. Line 52, 55, 30, municipal planning. What actually are we doing with that? I see that it was requested of 130,000, but we actually recommended 218,000. What are we?
Is that the city planner?
That's a collaborative firm.
Yeah, that's the city planners.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that 218.
Okay, but we were looking at 130.
That was his old contract,
Okay,
so we had to update it based on what was approved last year. Well,
okay,
actually, the year prior to that,
okay.
his contract went up from 130 to 218, 400.
130 to 218.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow,
That's an
that's
increase.
significant.
The other is, well, I've got a few. Line 52, 65, 70, recruiting expense. Now, is that the fund that we're going to use we're talking about getting an agency to assist us with, where's the money coming from to pay us an agency to assist us with
Yeah.
finding talent?
I thought that was in HR. I thought,
So what does that mean? So is that HR? I mean, or why is that here then? If it's, is this specifically to look for? line 526570 says recruiting expense. There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Crystal, was
But
that
it
ever in your
was,
department?
it's in the 2020.
Okay, well, let them
It was in my
know.
budget.
So we've now moved that into HR, is that what that is?
It used to, that's where it used to be, though.
Okay, so Krista, is that what, I guess in terms of next, so for 24, 25, do we have enough money in that right now to bring a recruiting, to bring recruiters on or persons to, a firm to, I mean, we're talking about doing stuff, but where's the money coming from to pay these things? Not you, I'm asking my colleagues.
Well, what do you have in your budget, Crystal?
Well,
I guess for recruiting.
Right, we're gonna do HR, right?
We're gonna do HR, but she was asking.
But just asking now so that we
You know,
know
you remember
that
what
that's
you got
something
in
we're
there?
gonna have to-
Ballpark.
Not enough to do that because we were already full when we did the budget. So we didn't put that amount in there
Okay.
again, so we would have to add it in.
Okay, and I know we'll cross the bridge when we get to it, but I just want everybody to remember, you're talking about stuff, remember when we get there, that you want some recruiting firm, you just get ready to pay about $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per person for something like that, possibly. So we need to be thinking that in the budget. The other question I had is 537180, the discretionary allowance for the city manager. Why is the city manager at $5,000 when everyone else is at $10,000?
Well, that's, I think, with the city manager, it's a different deal.
Different?
Yeah.
I mean, this is some questions. This is
Right.
me just asking.
Well, essentially, and we can change it to however y'all want to change it, you know. Generally, it was for, we use our discretionary community-based events, so on and so forth. Now, if the city manager has a community-based event, generally it's going to either be involving council members or the mayor. So in a sense, you know, I've never seen a city manager have, hey, I'm going to have a city manager's forum with my discretionary to have a separate event as a city manager. They kind of back up whatever we're having in a sense. But yeah, if we want him to have 10, we put in 10. That way we're all even across the board. And generally, he can stroke a check anywhere under 10 anyhow. So
Yeah.
he's got the whole checkbook, so to speak. Anyway, I mean, no pun intended, but he does. So you give him 5. I mean, he just take it out of this pocket and put it in that pocket, I guess.
Well, we just give him some of our money, I guess, if he goes over his 5,000.
Well,
I'm just being funny. I'm just joking.
Well,
I'm just joking.
if we were in that 6-figure club with him, maybe.
I'm
but,
just thinking.
yeah.
I mean, you want to give the city manager the opportunity to think out the box. You may have the city manager may want to do citywide activities or certain events in different wards, and that would give.
So you would make it even with everybody.
Well, I think because the council was at 5,000 last year, and so was the city manager. We raised the council to 10,000, and that was just my thought.
I'm fine either way, whatever.
I'm still trying to understand what type of events.
Well, that's what I was saying, but it's $5,000. I mean, if we wanted to for the that way everybody's on the same deal. I mean, that's fine.
There could be projects that the city manager may want to do.
Well, he may purchase T-shirts for a special
For staff-
event
for
or
staff.
something that he's having, or something for staff, or he sometimes he'll take a staff member and you know he'll do some special appreciation here or there or something. Yeah.
Luncheons,
I mean, yeah.
once a month, Friday, donuts and coffee, and all the different departments and those types of things. I mean, I'm just saying, just the way things used to be doesn't mean this way have to continue to be.
Okay, so we want to add 5,000.
What I've done in other places I was before coming here is like a morale boosting event, you know, like let's say Power, for instance, you know, by all of them. Public Works Weeks, you know, yes, the department have money, but I've used the city
I got you. I
managers,
understood.
you know,
Yeah,
that's what
I'm fine with it.
that has, you know, that's been useful.
All right.
I think there's probably an opportunity to look at this mid-year.
Yeah, well, I think we need to add it in now. That's why we're doing the budget. So I'm fine with adding him 5 to bring it up even. Any more than that, we just take it out your paycheck.
I mean, at this point, the 33% of, mean, we're at 33% of budget, 75% of the way through the year, so.
So this is for July, we're talking about adding the extra 5, right? Yeah, okay,
Right, but
all
I'm
right.
just saying that looking at, like, even, because I know that Councilmember McKenzie was looking at, I think you were looking at my travel in 2023, and I went over $1,400, and I was $1,700 in discretionary, and so in that $20,000 it balances out. But even looking historically at the discretionary allowance of the city manager, it's not hitting the number. And so if we're going through the process of finding someone, if they need more, we can have a conversation about it. But at some point, we talked last week about the fact that we are putting a lot of money in. At some point, we're going to have to make some decisions about what to cut. So 5,000 has been good enough.
I think bringing them up to 10 is fair. It's a July budget, it starts, and it probably even won't all be spent, but it doesn't hurt to have it.
And my point of contention is that we hear reports of staff morale being low, and there's a lot of transition going on in our city all the time, not just now. And the city manager needs to be, whoever's in that seat, needs to be empowered to be able to put back into the staff. For the past few holidays, except for this last one, because I was just trying to get through last week myself, I've tried to do nice things and just show appreciation to our employees and to see how that helps our employees in terms of feeling good about what they do. So I just feel like, and so, I'm on this loving campaign. I'm glad to see my doc here. And, showing that we care, showing that we love, just allowing that budget to be there to do nice things for our staff. So that's what I'm saying. Just, and not having to come back in a council meeting and vote on this. Just make it an even playing field. If the money gets used, it doesn't. But we have got to do right by the people that are making it happen in this city. And I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Being that I've been in the trenches with some of the young men and women that are even sitting in this room, seeing the things that our staff members go through on a day-to-day basis, and then they show up, and they show up for us. We've got to, it's not always giving somebody a $10,000 raise. Sometimes it's just putting a piece of chocolate on somebody's desk and saying, hey, I thought about you. Sometimes it's just like, I got a letter today and somebody gave a compliment for one of my legislative assistants. And I made a big thing over it, because if somebody's going to say something nice about one of our employees, I'm going to put them on grandstand. So all I'm saying is just being able to be in the position where if whoever the city manager is wakes up in the morning and decides that they want to send flowers to every single person, and one flower, letting them be able to have that. Let them smell it. Let them know that they are appreciated while they are yet here. It makes it easier to come back to work tomorrow, and it makes it easier to make it through a very stressful day where you're being pulled on every side by not only the people that are above you, the people that work for you, the people that you are serving in this community. They do a lot. There's not too much that we can do, and there's definitely too little that we can do.
Oh, I would wholeheartly
You're
agree
preaching to the
that
choir.
our
I
employees deserve every bit. I mean, that's why I said, let's make sure they get raises, because it's not in this budget. And so I think that, we may have differing views about the approaches, and I think that is healthy and good. And I mean, frankly, I'd rather have 10K than the chocolate. I can buy my own chocolate. But I mean, it's a different perspective. But if you want the $10,000 in there, let's put the $10,000 in there. But at some point, we're going to have to make some hard decisions, because right now, those raises are not in there. And so we do not have the opportunity to go into reserves. I mean, going into reserves for raises is not good fiscal policy for an ongoing expense. So we've got to figure out how to balance this budget. So we got to make some choices at some point. But are there additional questions on page 2?
We're talking about $5,000. I'm still on page 2. And again, we know we're not going to be able to give raises Don't get me started again today on the fact that we're not paying a good piece of people in this city are not getting livable wages. Until we get everybody up to $23 an hour, we're not paying livable wages. We're not going to get there in this budget cycle, and we're probably not going to get there in the next post-budget cycle because it's going to be more than $23 next year. So what I'm saying is that everybody, if you gave some people $5,000, it's not going to help the deficit. I'm talking about coming to work on a day-to-day basis and feeling appreciated. Money isn't everything. Money does answer all things, they say, but money doesn't fix everything. Showing that you're appreciated, people treating people with dignity and respect and honor goes way further than a check for $5,000. Yep, the check for $5,000 sounds good, but at the end of the day, we got to give what we can give. So it's $5,000. If they don't want to use it, they don't have to use it. But I am suggesting in this day and time for the person who's the one employee that works for me in the city of College Park, that the city manager find ways to use that $10,000 to show staff appreciation over the next 12 months.
Okay, is this, so it's a consensus to just add the 5 in?
Yes.
Councilman, I ain't heard from, boy, you quiet tonight.
You just want to move on, don't you?
All right, well,
I support the city manager having the resources that he needs to be able to do the events, especially if they're going to be targeted towards boosting the morale for the staff. And so,
yeah. And speaking of which, we had like, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, we had a department head, I'm not gonna mention the department, but this was one of the low money departments. And they did something that took care of it really last minute, and I really appreciated the work. So I got them something out of my discretionary, and then the city manager, we brought it over there, and they really appreciated it. So it does make it makes a difference. It makes a
I
difference.
think what may be helpful is that if we know that that is the purpose for the funds, that we have it outlined. Like, are we saying that, okay, we're going to allocate X amount of dollars for staff appreciation day? You know,
That's already in
Yeah,
HR.
yeah,
There's
we have a
there's
lot
line
of- we have
item
a lot
in
of
HR
it
for
in
that.
there.
oh, well then what, yeah.
But he can catch some stuff that,
Right.
since he's over the departments, he may catch some stuff that HR doesn't
So I'm just
catch.
saying, having that outlined, I meant what I said as far as it being targeted towards staff.
Exactly. Staff on, I agree. Yep.
Any other questions on page 2? Moving on to page 3. It's just our totals. Any questions on the budget transactions?
Whose Ford Taurus is this? Is this somebody's? 2004 Taurus? It's in your budget here.
It used to be,
Okay, so it's no longer.
no, I think it was transferred.
Okay, all right.
I think that was a car.
24-year-old car. All right, just curious. Okay.
Any questions on the exhibits? Hearing none, we'll move on to municipal court. Thank you, Ms. Price. Evening, Chief.
Good evening.
Questions on the municipal court org chart?
Judge, we separated y'all out finally,
Yes, we
so
do.
that you could kind of have your own autonomy with your budget. I guess, and that doesn't start in July, does it, or does it? Did that
It's
kicked
already
in?
effect now.
Okay.
Because it was approved so late in the year.
Okay.
The police department kind of took the lead for her budget this year with her input.
Okay.
Having her here tonight to kind of
Yeah. Did you put that booster seat in your budget?
But,
I need one, don't I?
Make sure.
but this department has always
above the
been
bench.
separate on the accounting side. We've always had a separate department for municipal court on the accounting side.
So are you saying, I don't understand.
Well, they basically separated the municipal court from the leadership of the city police chief. But it's always been a separate budget from the police department
finance side.
on the finance
Yeah,
side.
which is what you
Yeah.
can
Okay,
see when
okay,
you look on this
okay, all
report.
right, makes sense.
So, question. When we get a page, so what salaries are we looking at when we're looking at this now? Because, or what fund, what salaries?
Positions haven't changed.
So meaning when I look at $263,000, that is for 1, 2, 3, 4, for the 2 judges, 2 solicitors, court clerk, accounting clerk, and records clerk.
Yes, and I gave you this, I
So
think.
so for 11, this is the salaries of 11 people?
Yes, the judges have paid, well, the solicitors. Go ahead.
The judge's contract went up.
And that's what the 21% is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Because that was my question.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But can I just intervene? The org chart that you are looking at is based upon our structure of being underneath the police department. And when we started the process of separating, it was understood that we were going to have to create a municipal court org chart that reported directly to the city manager. So the chart and the personnel that you all are looking at is not what the city, not what the municipal,
Right,
it's
it
not
should look
indicative of
like.
what it
Okay.
should look like going forward.
Well, city manager.
then we need to fix
At some
that.
point,
Yeah, that's
you
what
want
I'm
to
trying
get
to
with the
get
judge
honesty,
and
I'm trying to
reorg that
get
because
honesty.
it's a separate department now.
It's a true freestanding department now. It brings us out. I mean, there was
That
money.
something I mentioned and kind of insisted on because we wanted to be in line.
Okay, I got.
There was some legal issues there.
Okay, so it's right. I was trying to wrap my head around 263,000.
Ms. Lord Bradley?
But, the
Got
the 263 and the 93,000, that includes, full-time and part-time employees. So you would have to combine the two.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at 11 and not realizing that these were part-time. Some of these positions are part-time.
Correct.
The judge and the solicitor and the records clerk. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Celisa Jefferson, or 3 others.
Yeah, now who's calling you, huh?
Any other questions on page 1?
Wait a minute. Wait, let me get to page 1. I was still on the org chart.
And I really don't know how we fix this because the budget as it was last year compared to where we are going to need to be going forward as a separate division, it just doesn't really reflect what the court needs. And so I don't know if the right thing to do is let me meet with the city manager and then we revisit. I just don't want you to approve this budget this way because it's not the right personnel. It's just not set up the way a freestanding court should operate. And so I don't know the process yet well enough to know what to ask you to do. I just know that it has to be restructured, which we knew from the beginning. And so I don't think it makes sense to try to make the old budget work because the positions need to change. We have different personnel that are necessary. Like we've never had a court administrator. We have to have one now. Things like that. And I don't think it's not going to change the numbers a lot, but we do have to reallocate the way we're structured going forward.
We knew that y'all were going to be separating. We knew that. Now, what some department heads to do, they'll bring in a little list and say, well, here's some adjustments that
I have
we're
it.
recommending. Okay, you got it. Okay.
I have all that done and I've presented
I
that to
mean-
the chief, but I have never met with the city manager.
Well, he's the person you want to talk to.
Well, I had met with the former acting city manager, but I've never met with this gentleman. So all I'm saying is, can we maybe revisit the court and allow me to meet with him so that I come back with something.
Probably should have called him, last month and y'all got together and.
Well, I don't know that, Joe. I mean, Councilman Carr.
Just
I
suggestion.
really don't know the process. I've been a department head for 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
So the chief has been helping us, helping me figure it out, so I don't know that. I do know I created those documents.
Well,
for the
if you-
chief.
You got some restructuring you're looking at.
Yes.
City manager's the person to get with. Now, are you talking about a whole lot of money here? Because I mean, we're
No.
budgeting, but if it's
No.
just a little bit, then I mean,
I see between tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yes.
I'll try sometime.
Okay. Okay. I just need a second to understand the process, but I do have everything structured the way I think it needs to be.
So does that mean-
y'all want to wait?
I was getting ready to ask, does that mean that we need to skip this section
Might not.
and come back to it?
I mean, that way y'all, city manager can know what.
Between tomorrow and Wednesday, my schedule.
Um,
By Wednesday.
right, later on this
by
week.
Thursday.
So can we add that on?
Well, yeah, not that far in advance, but take care of it, but give them the opportunity to talk, so this can be structured properly. And, we shift it to, don't we have a meeting Thursday?
We do.
Thursday. So Thursday, give her enough.
So then
that's
that
enough.
means that
Oh,
it becomes
plenty, yeah.
top priority.
I just think
for
he
you
needs
all
to
to
see
have a
it.
conversation to structure this appropriately.
I between Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay.
I see you and I get about there.
Okay.
That Thursday, plan on,
All right. Thank you. I'll just send you an email with my number,
okay.
and then you just I have court every morning, so it would have to be after that.
Okay.
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 All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Thank
All right.
you.
How's that state technology fund working out?
Well, we got to talk about the technology fund.
So
It's making a lot of money, but it's not being used.
Well, that's yours now, right?
Doesn't-
Well, y'all figure it out with the city manager.
We'll figure it out. All right. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
I'll see
Thank
you on
you.
Thursday.
So we're on to police administration. Questions on the org chart?
Hold on, where we? Police administration. Chief, any vacancies in this department here?
One.
Joe, or, just really quickly, Krista,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the vacancy report?
That report, the internet went down while I was trying to.
One part-time,
I can go back and get
the
it.
EPD clerk.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions on the org chart?
No.
All right.
Okay, go ahead,
Moving
Chief.
on to,
No, we're
Well,
not
we have
moving on.
one, the,
She needs
wait,
to-
hold on a second. Like, are there
She
questions?
wasn't able to finish. She was answering my question. She didn't get a chance to. Go ahead, Chief.
the EPD clerk is the only vacant as far as administrative. All the other positions are filled.
What is that? What is EPD?
It's, records clerk.
Okay. Now, but it's different from the regular records clerk.
Yes. And it's been vacant
How
for,
long is it?
it's been vacant for, since I've gotten back.
What is it, low salary or?
Low,
just-
very low salary.
Well, I mean, ballpark, where is it at?
Like, it's a part-time, so I think they make 32. A part-time.
That explains why you hadn't been able to fill it, huh? All right, that's another low one. It's another low one.
Well, it's a part-time.
Oh, okay,
But
because
it's
I saw
another
a
low one.
full-time for 36,000, down on this chart right here, for EPD clerk. I guess it's EPD too. I have an EPD technician making $36,000 for regular full-time here on this chart.
Yeah, on my org chart that I got from Julie, it says part-time. So I
Okay.
have to check on that.
You know, so if it's listed as full-time and it's paying 36,000, that's a problem.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Yeah, probably explains why.
Because that is
But they can fill
that
it.
is a skill. Somebody needs to have some skills there.
Althea, what would 5% on that look like?
Not much.
I was gonna say, it's
Not a lot.
should be in your packet.
It's somewhere in here. Okay.
It's like $1,800.
That would be something, but,
Still won't get you up to 40,000.
yeah.
10%.
5%.
And it should say
4%.
part-time, it should say part-time on the org chart. That's not a full-time
So
position.
we know, we know for
well,
sure that's
Part-time.
part-time.
It's a part-time
What we
position.
got from Human Resources is saying full-time.
Okay.
Okay.
Me and Cr-
It was reclassed.
It was, uh-huh.
So the EPD clerk is the same as the technician position that she read?
Yes.
It's the same one?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions? Any other questions on the org chart? Moving on to page 1.
And this is where all your majors and lieutenants are, this is,
Yes.
this is, everybody's in this salary line?
No, one of the, myself,
Okay, these aren't the majors, okay, I got
Yeah,
it,
this-
okay, got it.
myself and the deputy chief.
All right.
Our salaries are.
All right.
I have one, 52, 57, 20. Yeah, it looks like it's equipment. And I just wanted to make sure, according to this, and looking at the backup, it looks like it says repair, replace radio batteries?
Yeah, a radio,
Oh, so are these replacing the radios or?
batteries or the radio. Sometimes
Gotcha.
if officers get into something, the radio's severely damaged, it has to go.
But it takes care of all of them, not just
Yes,
some of
because
them.
those are very, are also really good with equipment, I must say. So we very, seldom have to replace for a tremendous amount of damage to the radio.
Okay.
Okay, Chief Rogers, I have a question on 52, 57, 49.
49, yes.
You requested $273,700. You were only given $101,700. What is it that you're not gonna have?
The 86 was for us to replace the carpet on the administrative.
No, is your mic on? You might want to turn it on.
It's on.
Oh, I'm looking
It's
for
on.
the green. I'm sorry.
So they spent 86.
No, 86
No,
was
I'm talking
removed.
about for the new budget year.
Yes, 86
The new
was
budget-
removed.
Yeah, meaning for the new budget year, I'm in 2025, the request for 270,000. But it's been taken down to 101, so you're saying that some of that 273, that not in the 2024 year, but the 2025 year, our upcoming year now.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that is that carpet, the
Yes, yes, we had put,
the 160,000 that
we
you're
had
not
put-
gonna get, 170,000 that you're not gonna get?
it
You're,
was-
there's,
Let me look where it started.
yeah, I'm just interested to know, it says R&M Public Building, Public Safety, but I guess it's building, it's something to building.
Yes,
Okay,
just the
okay.
maintenance of the entire
So
public
you-
safety. And I know 86, we removed, with the recommendation of the
Got it.
6%, the carpet needs replacement, but when we were asked to, decrease 6%, that was something that we said we could do away.
Okay, because it didn't have to directly do with people's jobs.
Yes, just
A
cosmetic,
carpet that could,
cosmetic.
okay, all right.
You know, for the
I
past-
just wanted to make sure it was something like that.
Yes.
They can live with maybe.
Yes,
for
it
another-
wasn't anything.
Okay,
Oh, I got that later on.
yeah, okay, because I want to know.
For the past few years, we had talked around having a general building maintenance position, as well as a shop at one point. What was her name? Melissa, the Public Works, had that in one of her budgets. Just having a repair shop for general building maintenance repair and staffing someone to just handle citywide buildings and managing the repairs. She said it was a big cost saver, citywide across the board, but there wasn't interest in looking at something like that. I'd like to look at something like that if there is some savings, because a lot of cities do have they have a building, they have a buildings maintenance person that handles a lot of that stuff in all of our buildings. Because when we call this
We get
company and that
quotes,
company and
it
so
can
on and so
become very
forth,
pricey.
and they got a you know, they got to put in their profit margin, obviously, for the stuff and their cost for calls or whatever. A lot of cities have their own shop, and you have a full-time person that kind of comes in and handles that stuff, that saves a lot of money when those overhead doors and all that kind of business. But Melissa, who was our public works director, she was attempting to show us how it would be a huge cost savings overall, because everybody's budgets for the repair and the maintenance. So I think that's something we need to look at. This would be a potential staff person in a building to handle, you know, in a place to handle that from or whatever.
Yeah, I recall that
Yeah.
she tried to add 3 to 4 positions, a shed to house the employees and things of that nature. So that was something that was included in 2022-2023 budget that was then cut because we didn't have the funds to support it.
And technically, it would be, you know, expanding our staff in one sense, but relative to the charges that we get overall year round for all of the stuff, it's some savings in it. So I think it's just something to look at in the future. I know we got a ton of stuff on our plate, but I just wanted to mention that.
So let me see if I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that right now, when we look at each one of the departments, let's just say I'm going to use police and recreation, that they are using separate contracts to deal with maintenance
All sorts of
issues,
things.
opposed to us having one overarching organization or
in-house.
department that is handling those things. Okay, yeah.
And I'll tell you what might be a good idea before the budget process is over is, why don't you just pull up all of those lines and add them up and see totally what we're paying annually in this budget. You know, so I mean, it doesn't give you an exact apples for apples, but it gives you a rough idea of the scope of the amounts of money departments are spending collectively.
There's no one particular line item that, because we had issues with our AC, that we would have to contract that out anyway.
Yeah.
It's more so the regular maintenance as far as replacing the light bulbs, things of that nature is what the building and grounds staff currently does to assist with the maintenance of the building. We don't have an electrician, so that's one. We used to have an electrician at the GICC, and we used to utilize him as well.
Phil.
But I would be nitpicking through that budget trying to figure out what we actually contracted out for regular maintenance, things that I don't know if I can have that in time for the next budget.
Okay. All right.
Considering that I have to prepare what we're doing now and try to balance that by June 3rd.
All right.
Councillor, what I proposed when Stanley was here is to have a general service department, you know, having a foreman and 2 utility guys that can do, changing light bulbs and minor things in all the buildings, but that was, I didn't get it. Cause it costs. Like when Brian Electric come here, you talk $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 just for, a couple of hours. And I feel, we could have hired, in-house person,
Yeah.
It
but
was just something to think about in the future. I mean, I just wanted to mention that's been a little issue.
There can be an assessment in 2024, 2025 to bring that back before council during a workshop.
Yeah, absolutely, because I can see where we could potentially save a lot of money having some type of building services type of group, or as you meant, general services.
Additional questions on page 1.
All right, so I'm trying to understand the item that Councilwoman McKenzie just brought up. So, looking at the budget, we're saying that the amended budget was $86,000 for 2024, but what has been spent is $45,000, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
As of 29.
But
Gotcha.
a lot of we find bills don't come in. They're starting to come in now, so we try to get them paid before our bills cut off that she sent out to the department.
Gotcha.
That'd be a lot of the things. The invoices don't come in until we almost at that cutoff that we can pay.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure I understood it a little bit better. Okay.
When is that cutoff day?
The 31st.
So for any spending of any kind has to be done by May 31st for all departments?
It has to be encumbered. When I say encumbered, they pretty much they have to order whatever their supplies are. Any contracts related to their departments need to be basically encumbered by and approved by the city council by May 31st. And that assists us with those late invoices, because I can get dinged by the auditors as far as if my invoices come in during the audit and I haven't recognized that for the prior fiscal year, which their budget which they're auditing. So it's important to have that 30 days. And even with the with your capital projects, I asked that the vendor actually send in their invoices through June 30th so we can recognize the expense in the correct period. So that
Same as every year.
yeah,
She
it's
needs
every
that.
year. Yep.
Every finance director needed the 30 days at least or more to close out the books.
Don't have to tell me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So does that go for the discretionary accounts spending as well?
Typically, we don't, but we ask that the council slows down on their spending.
Thank you so much, Althea.
You're welcome.
Additional questions on page 1. Moving on to page 2.
Okay, my questions on page 2 may be answered by what Chief Rogers already said, but I'll ask him anyway. Line 52, 6041, special operations. I know that $3,000 is being budgeted, but we've only spent $105 so far in this year. So do you anticipate that there will be?
Yes, with an
Okay.
increase in staff, we have started our crime suppression and our special operations units back up. So I anticipate those funds will be used in the next budget.
Okay, and then the last, well, I think this is all I have on this page, is 6170 contractual services. That one too, we see that there's $879,000 budgeted this year, but we're at $140,000. So do you anticipate about $600,000 being?
Yes.
Yes. 526170, because we've got $1,027,288 that has been recommended for contractual services.
And I know on our next council meeting, we have NIBIN on that, that's 251. We have Axon, which is another like 41, and so they're starting to come in now, so
Okay.
we're gonna meet.
Contraction Exxon is due.
Yes, yes.
So that's
It's 371.
so you pretty,
The
you know, I
251
asked
is
the question
371.
when you said that, so it looks like a lot of the things
What's
are
the
gonna happen in the
251?
next 2 weeks.
That's it, yes.
Okay,
251.
Okay.
371.
This is just
So you'll
this is
gobble
just
that
an
up,
example
probably.
of nonlinear spending.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions on page 2?
Chief, so we talk about, staffing back up, getting you your cars together and getting you as many as we can get you.
We're gonna get to that, hold on.
I know it's coming with patrol.
We ain't there yet, but we
Lord
get
help.
there.
So, we talk about the drug activity and whatnot. I know seems like ancient times with Tri-Cities Narcotics, I thought was a very effective situation. But drug bust, buys, the whole nine, I want to see a whole lot more of that. I wanna
Well,
make sure we
with
got
us
money
starting
into it.
the special operations, it has a designated sergeant who was actually a part of this special operation when he was an officer. We'll have sent him to access forfeiture. So when we get these kind of cases, if there's deemed something that we can forfeiture, we will do. I've actually met with Haida DA on last week about sending one of our officers on a joint task force. So anything that they do related, we would get a portion of those funds as well.
Okay, now we're talking, because, there's so much activity going on out
Yes.
there. My neighbors will call and they know it's all the indicators of drug activity.
Yes, yes.
This house and that house. and
Yes,
so on
I
and
met
so
with
forth.
two Haida agents on last week, and we're looking at possibly sending a College Park officer, task them out to be a part of their task force. So when they get certain things, we would get portions of those.
We gotta step that back up, but even including with that group on our own, we need
Yes,
to, I
yes,
really
I
want to
sent your officer, sergeant to access forfeiture, so we'll start taking advantage of, cases where we deem that we
When
can
that
do those
shows
things.
up in here, show me through your different budgets where some of that's at, if you run across it. You know,
Okay.
I'm assuming there's an increase. I hope.
Additional questions on page 2. Chief, in regard to 526170, I understand that it's not a linear, we're back on contractual services. Where is the increase coming? Because we've got 879 budgeted for this year.
Well, one of the increases that we have is with Axon.
Okay,
When we first initially got Axon, before I came, the staff wasn't as high. We didn't have the amount of staff that we have now. Each officer has a license. So as we hire, you have to pay for those licenses, which has increased in our Axon budget.
understood. Any additional questions on page 2? Moving on to page 3. That's just total. Although infrastructure was zeroed out, what was that?
That was for, the HVAC, and we actually was able to get it in this budget. So it was actually, we didn't need it for it was budgeted in this budget, so we were actually finally able to get that, so we don't need it in the next upcoming budget.
Understood.
Good. One less thing.
Questions on the budget transaction?
Page 3 of 6, not a question, but a comment. The first item, 100, on page 3 of 6, on transactions, 100, 3,200, 52, 6130. Psychological services and traumatic instances. I'm very happy to see that. We need that. Probably need more.
Is that enough money though?
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
think that's enough.
I mean,
I don't think that's.
is that enough?
And what do you spend this on? What's the average incident with that? And where does that money
That's
go?
a new hires. Those are new hires,
Okay, so
done for a new
So
hire.
it's a high, but what are we doing? Do we have anything for?
No, we we send them to HR through EAP.
Okay, so so this is for the new hires.
These are for new hires because
But
we have to
then
have them send them for a psych
okay, so you're
evaluation.
saying, because I'm just saying we need that. Yeah.
But we
okay,
have
all right.
had officers reach out with the chaplains coming over
Yeah,
every week.
yeah.
And they utilize EAP.
Okay.
is it still now where officers only get a psych eval when we
When we
bring them
first
in
bring them
only, and that, no, we don't do
Unless
that?
there's a traumatic incident, at my previous, we saw that an officer was having some mental challenges, and then we can always send them out for an
Well,
evaluation.
Let me ask you this. So in addition to, you do them when they come in, you do them when there's an incident or an issue. You have the discretionary authority to order a psych eval if you just feel something
Yes,
don't
when we get
smell
with HR.
indiscriminate.
Yes,
Okay, and answers my question. And this comes out of just $6,000 totally? Because that should be at least 10. I mean,
I'm hiring left and right.
I know, and I feel a whole lot better if just we had it. I mean, you know, we got great officers. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, we got. I mean, yeah, you got all the money there. So
I don't have all.
no,
No, I ain't got no money.
yeah. I mean, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right.
We're good at the
All right.
6,000.
Yeah, and I mean,
We
I
haven't
know
had
this
an
was
issue.
for new
That's one.
hires.
Yeah, those for new
I know
hires.
that it would be beneficial to just, of course, our officers may not want to do it, but to just have those services available. But you're saying that we're going to send them to, they can go to human resources.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as you have that flexibility.
Yes.
And, okay. All right.
Additional questions on the budget transaction?
Oh, city manager.
I do want to thank you for including your chaplains in your budget.
Yes.
So I see the line items for chaplains. So
Love our
thank,
chaplain.
and I love our chaplains. So thank you very
They
much
are
for,
a great benefit
Yeah.
for the police department.
yeah.
City manager, I've touched on it a few times, but I want to make sure we circle back to the 911 fees and how to get our residents to change that address over. It's a simple process. We just got to come up with a plan. That's a lot of money we miss out on again, so we want to make sure that happens. So I guess after budget, we need to, I want to look at that and see if we can collect that money, which we can, at least a good chunk of it.
I have a question in reference to, and this really isn't for you, Chief, it's more for Althea when it comes to our budgeting. On page 4, in the detail backup, line 100, 3,200, 52, 6170, on the last, top item that says Warren Bond. Right. But, no, I get that, but will we find Warren Bond in other parts? Right, so is that a contract per department, or is that comprehensive contract that we were yeah?
Because they do something totally different for police than they do for
For
regular city,
Yes.
Okay.
regular city operations.
Okay,
Because they go out to the crime scene and things of that nature.
Okay.
We discussed it.
yes, they go out to our crime scene.
Okay.
We have a separate contract.
We have a separate contract. He has a
because he
separate
has
contract
other,
from us that he do with the city.
gotcha. So other things that he has to, or the contractual things that he has to do.
Yes.
Will we find him in other departments outside of police?
City clerk's office.
That's the only other place. Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on to police investigations?
Question on, just with the vehicle inventory list, I noticed that the take-home Dodge 2014 Charger has been crossed out. Is that because we got rid of, what is that? Do we no longer have that vehicle?
No, we still have it. We moved it over to investigation. That used to be
okay.
Lieutenant Patterson. He has yet retired, so it's just an extra vehicle.
He hasn't retired yet? I thought he retired.
He's retired.
Oh, okay, so, okay.
Okay,
he
no,
had-
that was just,
We haven't.
It was
it's
just
still
a
in our
question.
fleet. It's still in our fleet.
So Chief, we got, I mean, I guess we'll get to patrol. I guess that's good.
Okay.
All right, moving on to police investigations. Questions on the org chart?
Only thing on the org chart, we don't have 8 detectives. We have 6. As the police department grow back in size, patrol is our bread and butter.
So we moved to those positions.
No, they're still there. But just in case, when they asked on the previous,
two vacant.
were all the positions filled, I was just kind of getting ahead of myself.
Okay. So that's
Thank you, because you knew I was going to
Right.
ask.
Right. So instead of, everything is correct, except we don't have 8 detectives right now, we have 6.
So you can guess my next, question. How long have those 2 been vacant? Yeah, you must be psychic.
Well,
Exactly how long?
as the police department grow, as you know, when I first got here, we were down 39 officers. We have 16 vacancies now, so we're making progress. But in making progress, I have to,
Does that include the 10 frozen
no,
in here? What's left?
no, that's still there. But we have to ensure that patrol, is manned so all the needs of the city and all the needs of the residents are met. CID with the 6 has been functioning well. That is a great staff of personnel over there. Incidents that we do have, they get together and they close out cases. So CID, yes, I would love to give them an additional 2 detectives, but what they have now, they have been rocking and rolling. I want to ensure that patrol has enough officers, that officers can take off and spend time with their families, but the residents and visitors of College Park still get the services that they deserve. So that's where our focus is now.
Are we still at the, I know at one point we were still around 37%, 40% in terms of overall resolving cases. Where are we at now?
You have a number?
Yeah, when you talk about, when you think about solving cases, they're way above the national average. And all, because we always measure ourselves against the national average. And we're fortunate here in College Park that they're flying way high, just like last year. They had 90% clearance rate, 90% clearance rate with homicides. This year, we'll actually flying colors over that right now. So
Okay, so we're not at that 30% overall clearance anymore. Is that what you're saying? Because we were
yes,
around
we're way above
37,
that.
40.
Way above that.
So where we at overall?
I can get the specific numbers for you.
I'd just like to see a breakdown just to see how we're doing. Because I know at one point I saw I thought, well, that was the number I was given.
Right.
So that's improved.
Yes. And what we base it off is always take our group of individuals and measure it up against the national clearance average. And we're above all those percentages when you look at it, way above.
But we'll get you those numbers.
All right.
Chief Rogers, just a quick point of clarification. You said when you came, we were down 39 officers.
34, between 34 and I can't remember the exact
Okay,
number.
and then you said now we're only down
16.
16. But of those, okay, the 34 that we were down, are the 10 frozen included in that number, or is?
No, it was 10 frozen that was still included.
So basically what we're saying is we had 34 down, 10 of those were frozen, which would take us to 24 officers. And now.
No, I think they're included. It was 10 that was still, because 10 was frozen when I got here.
So that.
So 10 on top of the 34.
49?
Yes.
So we were down 49. Is that correct?
Close to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That would make 49.
Okay. No, that sounds better. I was just trying.
We
Okay,
still
so
would have been there if we had.
So we brought on at least about 24 or so new hires, new officers. Okay, thank you. I might be off on my numbers. 49 minus 10. She said we're down
Questions on page what?
17, 16.
Yeah, that's police patrol.
23.
Yeah, we're in police investigations.
If there was something.
Questions on page 1 of police investigations?
Wait a second, on page, haven't had a chance to look at it. I was still talking about the orange chart. We're not even there. Okay, so
Nothing really changed.
vehicles, okay, that's just repairmen. Okay, that's fine.
Nothing in the investigations really changed. We didn't add anything dramatic to them.
Page 2?
So how we're looking at staffing on Godby? How many officers we got down there on a daily basis?
On shift, we have 2 sergeants, a lieutenant. Once we open up the South Precinct at Godby Precinct, it increased the presence, the crime suppression and our special operations spend 90% of their activity on that Godby corridor.
I get the activity and patrols, but I guess, I've got a significant portion of Godby as well. I mean, there are 10 officers in that building, 10 officers, and it's bottom line. I want to see it more used. I want to figure out how we can make sure it's more used. If 50% of the crime is along the Godby Road Old National Corridor, then it would make sense that should be, I don't want to say the hub of activity, but it is the hub of the crime activity.
And
Would I be right?
about 70 to 80% of staff when are working along that Godby.
I heard you on working along. I'm talking about the building itself. We built it, and we
You mean working out of the building?
yeah.
I need officers on the street.
I get. Well, officers, all of them on the street patrol, but they're working out of one building or another, one building or the other. I just want to make sure we're utilizing it.
Yes, it's been utilized. Community works out of that building. Traffic works out of that building. My grant manager / whatever I need, Officer Wyatt works out of that building. So it has a presence.
Okay, so how many patrol officers work out of there? I guess maybe I'm asking them all. I understand Wyatt's not patrol. I understand your grants manager.
Right.
And
It's 2 shifts that work out of that building. 2 alternating shifts that work out of that building.
How many people does
That's
that?
about 20 people.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody. Crime suppression, it's spec ops.
Okay. So it's
And 20
being
patrol
used.
is being used.
Okay.
That was one of the things we started at the first of the year.
Okay. All right. I'm glad to hear that. Good. Okay.
Additional questions on page 2? Page 3 is just total. Questions on the budget transaction?
This is just regular copier expense.
Yes.
These aren't new copiers. This is-
Yes, that Canon
Yeah,
copier.
that deal that we got, that contract, I don't know, but that's a whole nother discussion at some point. It just doesn't seem like the best deal to me, but I want to talk about that at some point.
I do have a question on page 2 or 3, still on the worksheet rather. 547580. So basically, everyone in this area has a vehicle, meaning you didn't put any requests for new vehicles in this,
No,
under this.
my hope is the vehicles that I get this year, if approved, will go to patrol, but my acts of next year will be to give investigations new vehicles.
Okay. I just was wondering. All right, thanks.
Any questions on the exhibits? Moving on to patrol. Questions on the org chart?
Okay, so these are most of the 16 vacancies here, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Right?
Well, officers,
Officers,
yes.
okay.
That
Is that the 16 vacancies, is it what we're talking about?
Yes.
The internet when the internet went down before I came in here, so my report did not save. So I brought this, I was trying to redo it, but I was trying to hurry and get back down here.
What'd you
And I
bring this?
will redo it in the morning. Yeah.
This is police?
It's
Oh, this,
everybody.
okay, I see,
Everybody.
this is the whole thing. Oh, good, okay.
So I'll redo it for you and send it to you.
All right.
And
Questions on, I'm sorry?
That's the only part of the org chart that has vacancies. Every other position are filled.
Questions on
So
page
basically,
one?
when
Sorry.
we talk about when I look at the 67 police officers, we don't really have 67. Is that correct?
Yes, we're 16, we have 16 open to hire.
Got it.
And that's all out of, and that's.
And there's still, and the frozen
Frozen,
positions are not
Which are,
considered in this number, right?
With those are salary savings, so.
So collectively, they have 94 positions, and 67 of those positions are police officer positions. and
Ms.
10 of
Fuller-Bradley.
those are- So the Exhibit C, which shows the number of positions,
Okay, wait, hold on, slow down. Let's get to.
we can stay on the org chart if that's easier for you.
No,
So
I follow you with.
The next page, after the org chart, that very next page.
That's it there, got it, okay.
Yes,
Right.
there, the police department, the police patrol department division has 94 positions. 67 of those positions are police officer positions, which includes 10 frozen positions. So they actually can hire for 57 positions.
Okay, 10 frozen, which brings you down to 57.
Yes, sir. Police
Are the-
officer
are the
positions.
16 that are vacant out of that 57.
Correct.
Okay, so we
So
actually
we are
have,
funding for 57. So when I look at the number on on page 1, it's gonna reflect only 57 positions, not 67. I mean, I know of the 94, yeah. I mean, it's gonna have, so it's gonna have 84.
Exactly. It's
Positions.
funded for 84 positions.
And of those 84, we have 16 that are not filled.
That's correct.
Correct.
So they're,
okay,
we're
so,
just
so,
kind of looking at.
right now officially, in terms of patrol officers, we have 57 funded positions, 10 are frozen, but we have 57 minus 16 vacancies
Yes.
out of the 57.
That's correct.
So you have 41
So there's
officers.
16, technically speaking, there's 16 openings.
Yes.
Because we've been kind of going with how many openings we got, so 16 openings.
So at 41
Yes,
Correct.
that we actually have here.
yes.
And out there, I'd like to see, I get that from you at some other point, but I'd like to see just when we average out a position, I used to see, what would we budget, 69,000 per position, I see that last year.
It was about 712,000. We froze those positions to offset the 20% increase from 2020, March of 2022, that the council approved, a 20% increase for the police department, and to offset that cost, we froze 10 position, and at that time, it was 712,000.
Okay. I used to see that 69, or that was about what I would see that allocated per officer. I didn't know if that was patrol or what, but you familiar with that? You've seen that number? Because I've seen it in some chart where it just had officers, and it was just like, maybe that was an average, or I don't know what that was, but.
It probably
I got it from
included, it probably
HR.
included the majors, the lieutenants, and the sergeants. See,
Maybe so.
it was,
Maybe it was some kind of average. Yeah, they were all at 69,000 at some
oh,
some chart.
69,000, they said 69 individuals.
No, 69.
Right now, I'm estimating about 80,000,
Okay, so that's with the 20, with the 20%. Okay.
80
okay.
to
All
81,000.
right. Okay, that makes that trues up. I want to. Got it. Okay, got it.
So,
That adds up.
No, you good.
All right.
with the 16 openings, sounds like we still need to have 16. We shouldn't freeze any
No.
of those. We really need to
No.
fill those positions.
And we have been aggressively recruiting. Sergeant Dorsey has been doing a great job with recruitment. We have a agility test at least every other week over at the Wyatt Center. And we've been kind of shifting our focus a little bit to get certified officers. If we can recruit a lot more certified officers, we don't have to send them the mandate. They go through small FTO program, and you'll see that officer on the street a lot faster than a recruit.
Okay. I was just looking, in terms of being able to fund more in the budget, what we might be able to do. But we need every person we don't
Every
have.
person, yes.
Yeah. So that's not even an option.
And this is where some of that extra perk stuff comes in. The wellness doodads and
Right.
the utility, and this is
Take
why
home
we
card.
gotta figure out.
Yeah, how we can.
Well, we gotta talk about
What'd you
that.
say? Just the take home cards, right? What'd you say? Did you say?
Take home
What'd you
cards.
say? Wait, I can't hear you.
Take home
Yeah,
cards.
speak up. Say
Take home cards. I presented.
Do you think that would help? Do you think that would help morale? Or that,
Yes.
That
Yes.
might help
I think
us
she
to
may
retain
need 2 mics. For
No,
that.
right.
I'm just saying. I'm just.
And just talking to other chiefs in Metro Atlanta, East Point have about the same amount of staff as we do. Once Chief Buchanan implemented take-home vehicles, he's at 100% staff.
Okay.
Salaries across the board, we match salaries.
Right.
But an initiative of having a take-home vehicle is an added initiative for officers. Why everybody, let's call a spade, is not loyal. They're gonna go where they can get the best bang for their buck.
Right. And that
So if you can go down
appreciate
the street and make the same $62,000 you made in College Park, and you get a take-home vehicle, why not go down the street? And I don't know their finances, but in College Park, we seem like we'd be in a better financial state than East Point. So we need to make some adjustments there.
You just kind of made the point that money isn't everything, but sometimes something that you do, something that you give someone. The car doesn't belong to them, but it is their car while they're working.
And coming from an agency where officers had take-home vehicles, they took care of it a lot better.
Yeah.
Because in
It's
a way,
theirs.
it was personalized.
Yeah.
They were more conscious about accidents because it was theirs. Because this is my take-home vehicle. If I get in an accident, me as the deputy chief, they will have to come to me. She gonna put me in one of these regularly, or I'm not gonna have one.
That
So they were more
2014
cautious.
car.
They were more cautious because it was personal.
Yeah.
And they took better care of it, and that's facts.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. I'm
Y'all gonna
advocating
wash them
for.
if you take them home? Change
They're
the
gonna wash
oil?
it. They're gonna do everything. They're gonna treat that thing like, it's just a way of saying that we honor you. We
No, we
appreciate
got- we
you.
gotta
And
do
it
something.
helps. And it helps with retention.
Yes.
Luckily, we haven't had an array of officers
Trust you.
leave. We haven't had an array of officers leave, but retention. Once we get through recruitment, we want to retain these officers. I don't want to send them to school. And in College Park, a 2-year officer here has learned more than a 5-year veteran working in Alpharetta, because you see so much
More
different
action
stuff.
here.
So you do 2 years here and you take your talents elsewhere, then I got to start over.
And that's what we've been dealing with. People get trained. You pay them, and
They
then
use
they
that as a
get-
training ground.
So we're focused
It's
on
not much
recruitment,
more money. It
but
just might be a
eventually-
better
Eventually, we
package.
want to go into retention. And
Yeah.
I had, since we brought that up,
These aren't funded, right, Chief? these take-home vehicles are not funded, correct?
That's
That's
correct.
why we're here.
So.
That's what we're working on. We want to work on to make sure, if I have anything to do with it, they're going to be funded.
Yeah.
And another thing that I had presented to the city manager was a public safety recruitment and retention incentive program.
Okay.
You recruit somebody, after they're here, they're certified, if they're here for a year, you get $1,000. You recruit somebody who's not certified, after they meet 6 months, you get $500, and after they complete probation, you get another. You know, those are things that we inside the command staff, we're trying to come up with to retain these people, but we have to get them approved.
That was requested.
This was given to the city manager
Yeah, we talked about it.
on behalf
We,
of Councilman Carter.
we talked about it. We gotta do more. And,
Got to.
You know, now, one thing I do wanna see, if we start out looking at take home, I wanna look at starting out with patrol with the 67.
That's where I need them.
57.
That's where they will go.
Okay, now, get this for me, this information, I guess for everybody who wants it. I wanna see just approximate location of where the 57 actually live. Are they north, are they south, how many miles, are they close, are they?
Well, I've already got a policy and I can present, if they live 30 miles, if you live in Carroll County, you're not getting no car. That's outside.
I'm just-
Everything
yeah, so I'm
is
just-
within parameters. Everything is with parameter of being reasonable.
So you're gonna come back with something, I wanna look at that information, cause I think it's something we need to do.
You get an
figuring out how
email in the
we
morning,
do
it's already done.
All right, so you're gonna have, in terms of the distances of the 57?
Yes.
We're gonna know how many?
Yes, I'll get with Major and we
Officer
can come up
number
with
one
where
is-
the
is
officers
10
live.
miles away, officer number 2 is
Yes.
13, and the officers, I
I'll
don't
get
need
you
no, I don't
everything.
need no names.
I get you
I
everything
don't
you
need no
need.
addresses, I just need to know.
We'll give
how
employee
far
number
the patrols
and
are.
how far they live. That way we'll have a system of how it's done.
All right.
We have a
You
South
see-
Fulton
Okay.
officer that lives on Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
See that vehicle all the time, and it certainly helps that officer's neighbors as well.
I got South
So-
Fulton police in my apartments.
We do.
Yeah.
I live in Fayetteville, and the Brookhaven officer is in my neighborhood.
You know, everybody, this is one of those situations. Like I said, College Park is a almost a $200 million corporation. And if we want to be successful, any business that wants to be extremely successful has got to do extreme investments and make decisions. And if we don't have the safety, the public safety portion right in this city, everything else we're trying to build will crumble. No one wants to live somewhere where they don't feel safe. And we have to make public safety. I mean, this is a priority for me because I didn't even move to College Park for years because I heard it was not safe. I had to come here and actually walk the streets and meet people to realize that College Park wasn't the way it was perceived to be outside. And we have to keep,
We're trying to change that stigma.
right, we want to change the stigma, but we are a safe city. But we have to stay that way. And when we have persons that we're training and that they like working here, we've got to do what's necessary
And for me,
to
we always say,
retain.
well, hospitality city, I need the police department to be represented.
Amen.
in that.
This number one. This
I
should be
had
our
I
number
had
one
a resident
priority.
today. I'm at racetrack. Why y'all still driving Crown Vic? Well, I'm working on it. Is
Thank
my
you, Chief.
answer. I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Chief, you were trying to replace a 2007 Impala in the here that didn't get funded? Is that right?
I asked for 6 replacement vehicles.
Mhm.
All of the 6 replacements are over $100,000. An additional 9.
100,000 miles, right?
You mean
100,000 miles.
Right.
Okay.
100,000 miles. Each vehicle that I actually replace is 100,000 miles over, and 9 replacements. And how I came up 4 for command staff, an additional 5 because we were approved for 20 last year, but because of inflation and cost, we were only able to buy 15. That's why I asked for the additional 5 because I didn't come back and ask for more money. We just bought what we could with the budget that we had. So I was coming back this year and asked for those 5 that I couldn't buy last year.
You know, we want to get it right. And now, I know with the patrol vehicles we got a lot of them parked there, apparently I'm told, because we don't have the outfit packages on
Yes,
them and whatnot.
they're behind it.
But a lot of these other departments are getting, they're grabbing the stuff and they're getting that stuff. So let's double our efforts to getting those packages. I know they're kind of hard to come by, but apparently got to fight for them while they're and find them. So they're not just going to jump up and say, "Here I am."
Well, and vendors that we use, we have had conversation, our fleet manager, and when it doesn't, if it takes another voice, one of the majors get on the phone. We did have an incident where MARTA has an entire bigger fleet than ours. So, you know,
they got 300 officers.
you want to handle the bigger fleet so you can get
Well,
that paycheck.
and some
So,
of them
but
are
we
more
had to-
aggressive too.
Right.
So maybe we got to find some other vendors that we got to go out here and get this stuff. You know, so
Not a
we got to.
problem.
I don't like seeing them parked there. They're just parked out there.
We'll look.
You know, brand new cars parked. I'm like, let's get them outfitted.
Yes, sir.
So yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're asking for more cars. We ain't got the ones we bought you on the street. You know, so I want to see them out there now.
So, questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2.
Okay, my question is 7580 to continue the discussion, 547580, 547590.
Those are for the new cars and replacement.
Right, so that's what we're talking about. So basically, how many vehicles would be under the new cars
9,
and the replacements?
6.
So we're talking about approximately $1 million to bring on
15 new
15
vehicles.
new vehicles.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take some of that out to justify your 6%, or where did you pull your 6%?
It was removed.
That's what she pulled.
The whole
It was removed.
million. Well, I mean, that's $1 million out of a $4 million budget. That's way more than 6%.
I left it in, but once it went to the next stage, it was removed.
That's far more than 6%, though.
But remember, LPM had said from the beginning that all capital was taken out.
Yep,
Under
yep,
capital.
understood. All right, so after what's their total budget? I mean, all the, what is it, 5-6 million? I mean, it's usually the highest budget collectively. It's up there.
This part alone is 8 million,
Yeah.
8.6.
It was like 14.2, 14.3 this last
The
year.
police department always has, most of the budget, but I like to see what 6% overall looks like coming out, just to see what kind of number we're talking about anyhow.
Okay, and I want to say again, I know we're gonna leave the positions open, we're gonna try to fill those positions. But if we don't fill those positions, we will probably end up next year with money still left in the police department. I think that we definitely need to make the investment in getting these vehicles. And I know we keep saying stuff is not funded. The budget is not approved yet. So when we start talking about stuff not being funded, it's not funded until we approve it.
That's right.
It's just the recommendations that we have right now are not putting it in there. It just bothers me to hear us keep saying it's not funded. It's not funded until we have that last budget hearing and we make a decision. But until that time, there's nothing set in stone in this budget. There's nothing that can't be changed. Because so you can't say it's not funded. It's just not a part, it was cut out because of the 6% cuts or whatever, trying to meet a requirement that was given in planning the budget, but is not, that it hasn't been funded. And I just want the public to hear that. So when you hear things being said that they're not funded, it's not over until the fat lady sings, and she doesn't get to sing until we vote on this.
Well, I'm a team player. I take 10 cars, if not 15.
I'm mad at her. She's
I'll take 10.
I'll take what I can get.
I'll take
My colleagues
10.
can do what they want to do, but I'm for the whole, I want us to have what you believe you need to be successful. Because when you are successful, we are successful.
Yes, ma'am.
And if the component with these multifamily reforms and the changes, if we go through our whole process, I think that's gonna.
And
clean
you know,
things up.
I'm gonna brag on my officers for a second. In 2022, in court fees, which is traffic, city offenses, these are cases majority of officers make. The city, we brought in 400. $467,562.37. Last year, 2003 calendar year, $902,911.60. My officer almost paid for 15 cars we got there. They out here working.
I'm seeing more.
They work.
I'm seeing more. I want to get them other cars out here that we bought you, though. So let's make that a
we
priority.
working on it.
All right. I don't mind getting
Collectively,
some more.
Councilman Corn, the budget for the police division is 14.3 million.
14.2. And in the scope of things, that's still pretty low.
Low.
Dr. Manuel, you know how much the city of New York's police budget is?
Don't even start.
11 billion. But they got 30,000 officers. I mean, Atlanta's got 2,000 sometimes. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I know Officer Wyatt is here, and he works a lot on grants. How many things can we really look at going that are in our budget that can be funded going forward by grants? I mean, this is another one of those places where the grant manager would be helpful to be able to. And Officer Wyatt, I do want to say a very special thank you to what you do in terms of the grants and really looking into money for our department.
So I will say that one of the difficulties that we have is that the federal government has not been as generous with grants that allow you to purchase vehicles. Clearly, that's something that we look at every year. The difficult part that we have, though, even with grants, and if we did get a grant that allowed us to purchase $1 million worth of vehicles, the way the system has been working, I guess, over the last several years, is we would have to identify an account out of the budget, out of our budget, to draw that money. Then when we get it reimbursed, you all put it back in general fund.
Yes, that's
So you're now denying the agency the use of that money that they evidently needed
But you put out
for the budget in the first place. Which, in addition, you're reducing the budget, which is against the rules that you all vote on and agree to. It's called supplanting.
Is that legal? That's not legal.
No, it's not. So especially once you sign. Now, there are grants that we have that allow it. For instance, the bulletproof vest. The bulletproof vest grant allows us to supplant with that money, but it has to be clear in the contract. So most of the other grants through the Department of Justice do not allow you to reduce your budget. And so my suggestion is that when we get a grant that's approved, it comes with a dollar amount. It goes before you all before we can accept it and before the mayor can sign that contract. Once that contract is signed, you know it's $400,000. Somewhere in a fund that's not part of the budget should be where that $400,000 comes from, so that when it's reimbursed, it just goes back into that.
It goes into a grant fund. We have a grant fund.
Well, that money needs to go back to the department. though.
There's still $86,000 that never made it
grant
back.
fund
Because
is
basically
nice,
what
but
you're saying is that the
that's
department
their-
has paid for these. A lot of these are reimbursable type of things. So the department.
That's the only thing I've been allowed.
Okay, so the department pays out of the department's budget $86,000, for example. All right, and then when the check comes from the grant for $86,000, you're saying that $86,000 is going to the general fund of the city of College Park, and it's
or the
not
grant fund,
It
whatever.
has
it's
to go
called.
into the grant fund.
What-
I have
what-
to
Which
account for it in
is
the
the
grant
grant? Is there a
fund.
grant fund that breaks down? This is police grant fund.
Yeah, I mean,
this is
what do you mean
so-and-so?
it has to go into the grant?
Because by law, it has to be, we have to account for it in a grant fund. It
So-
Okay,
can't,
well, it can go
that
into their
fund
grant.
then
We
transfer
need to put it
can
into their
be the
grant fund then.
first and
You
then
can-
Because it's
transfer?
their money.
So wait, this is
Okay.
back to what I was saying earlier about having a grants administrator,
Yeah.
right? That will follow all of the rules when the resources come in and do the appropriate reporting.
Well, see, it's even more than that. Collectively, as a city, we all have to be on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
So if there is a grant fund, then the police department should never spend a dime out of their own
That's
budget.
right.
so what happens is the expense
using
should
that
be
money for the
moved
grant.
to the grant fund, and when the revenues come in, it will be accounted for. So you have the expense and the revenue to offset it. So that's what typically occurs. That expense should be recognized in the grant fund. And when the revenue is received, it is recognized in the grant fund so that the police isn't using their budget.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
That's how we
So-
do
so-
CDBG
okay,
as well.
I got it. But theoretically speaking, if you pull their earmarked grant funds out of their budget and put it into a grant fund budget, that's what you're saying. So they would have never had it in the first place. In a sense, to spend it out. It
That's
comes
what
out-
he's
it
talking about.
wouldn't-
Supplanting is
but-
what you're
right,
talking
but it
about.
It wouldn't come out of the police budget. It would come out of another budget.
So, yeah,
But the
correct.
problem is, there may be additional grants and opportunities that come up for them that may not be in that grant fund budget, and they fork over the money out of their budget to meet the deadline to get ABC grants.
So
I
Councilman,
mean, is that
what occurs is I've had to sit down with the deputy chief, and she's had to identify a line item in our budget in order to pay for something. And I keep up with those things as part of my job. And I'm constantly asking, did you get this back in that line item that you drew from? So and let's say that the line item came out of building maintenance. If that building maintenance was $50,000, and now I spent $20,000, but your account is still showing $20,000 in building maintenance. Now, we may have gotten the reimbursement, it may have gone into the grant fund, but that $20,000 didn't go back into the building maintenance.
well, let's find out legally if a police department, I mean, we got some options here. If a police department can establish their own grant fund per inside the department, or if it has to be, okay, well,
I have a totally different,
Right,
we have
I
a
was
CDBG grant
Okay,
fund,
right.
and we have a general grant fund.
Okay.
And I can set it up, because I did with the ARPA fund, but I had to create a totally different ARPA fund, grant fund. And I can set it up by department, where it has a grant fund, and the police department has a
Grant
a
fund.
division under that grant fund.
Okay.
And that's how, even with the auditors, if they catch me with grant dollars in the general fund,
Gotcha.
they will basically have me move it as a journal entry adjustment
So-
into the grant fund
So when
to
they-
account for
so-
the revenue and expense.
So when they spend that money, they spend it out of their budget. They find it somewhere in their budget.
They should,
You saying they do? They do
No,
that,
what
or
she's
they
saying
don't?
is that they should put it in the grant fund.
and I come back before you all, and and there's a budget amendment, because I have grant dollars that aren't appropriated for, but we've spent the money and received it based on council's approval. But then I come to you right before my audit, because it's normally at the last minute, and I request a budget adjustment, a budget amendment to account for the grant dollars we received and a grant expense. So if you have grant funds that have been expended in the general fund, I need to identify those and move that expense to the grant fund, and then you'll have your dollars freed up.
So they'll get it back.
Yeah, I just have to move the expense.
So
So are we
they'll-
getting it back?
They'll get that money back.
Exactly,
From-
because you all approved it. You did approve the
Okay, because they weren't getting that money back.
That's what the
That was the
concern
problem.
is, that they're
Exactly.
not
So you're
getting
saying
the money
that
back.
what the mechanism you're proposing solves it, where they actually get, if they spend $87,000, they get that back
Yes.
into their budget.
yes, once
Y'all hearing this, right?
So what about the money that they have received in
Okay.
grants over the last 2 years that have not been put back into the
they
department?
they probably haven't seen it till the end of the fiscal year, but I have to move those.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the fiscal
Yeah,
year.
that
Can
means you
you
don't get to spend it.
can you show them right? Just in time for them not to
What
spend.
they were asking is for the grant dollars to be like the budget amendment in place of the grant dollars that were approved by the council. However, that can be addressed if you want to free up money. Is to move the 251,000. Well, how much did we spend?
No, no, no.
112,000.
This was specifically for $86,000. We may have pulled it from different budgets. My concern, and this has been since February, that I've been asking to get that money back because there are initiatives or whatever that the police department needed to spend the money on.
Got it. Okay, and she's saying you'll get that back, but at the end of the budget year, and the cutoff is May 30th, so you won't be able to spend it anyhow.
Right. So the
But
money
we can move it now.
Huh?
We can move it now.
Okay, well, city manager, why don't y'all all get together and work?
We don't need city manager. We can work it out.
Well, hold on a minute. No, we all need the city manager, and we want to do it under the city manager, because at the end of the day, he's on the line for whatever it is. So you do need the city manager.
If I may add
And let's
something
make sure
here,
y'all all get that together and figure it out.
which may help, maybe this is looking at a process and procedure, an administrative process and procedure when it comes to how we are going to manage grants, grant funding when it comes in and grant expenses. But this is back to what I said earlier when it comes to having, not the grant manager, the grant administrator. That's two different things. This is the person who would set the policies, the procedures, have all of that documented so that when someone goes out to get the funds or to make the expense, they know what the process is for them to get those dollars back into their budget within, whatever the time frame is going to be. But as long as we don't have anything documented, it's going to be haphazardly done like this, and it's going to always be frustrating.
Sounds
So-
like we need that position, yeah.
Just my
Good
suggestion. It's
example.
just my suggestion.
Well, you have to be careful. So the way the grant system is set up now, there are checks and balances. So the grant administrator and the financial person that may be working in that unit that's keeping up with those numbers have to be two separate people. Monies that are returned, you still have to have the finance director for. You can't make any moves without the department head and the mayor. So there are multiple people that are involved in the process for the purpose of checks and balances. So, and then again, you have the other end of it. Once the grant is awarded and you begin to purchase whatever. So in my role, when we did the IBIS NIBIN, I didn't know anything about it, didn't really care. But because of my role, I had to try to become an expert on it because you not only are the person that's applying for it and administering as far as sending the reports, you now become the project manager to get the item that you're purchasing implemented. And you're not through with that until it's finally turned over to whatever division or personnel that's responsible for it. So there's a greater role than just you write a grant and drop it off.
Right.
And of course, if we fall short on reporting or whatever the case may be, I've received phone calls from the mayor because they will send these.
They'll come looking for you, right? They'll come looking for you. You're right.
But that money is important, and as you indicated, we're at the end of the fiscal year, being told cut it out. But
So, question now. What other money is in the grant fund that should be going to the police department? Is that the only monies that just this 86,000?
we've stopped spending. We're just waiting into the next fiscal year until we're able to work this out.
So if we hadn't had this little conversation tonight,
Would
we
have been
would
the
have,
same deal.
you would have had $86,000 that's still sitting in the grant fund that would never go to the police department because we're at the end of the fiscal year.
Or you would have got it at the end of the year when
Well,
it
they
can't
couldn't
be
have-
spent.
and they would have
Can't be
lost it.
spent. Althea, are there,
It wouldn't be lost. They just wouldn't have been able to use
They
it.
wouldn't-
Right.
it'd
On
be-
this,
So that's what I'm
fiscal
saying.
That'd
It
be
would
lost.
go
That's
over.
lost money.
Okay, it
Right.
will be transferred into, okay, so.
Yeah,
Right,
but
but
they
they
never-
need the funding.
they get shortchanged
so that they
every
can
year.
take care
Well,
of
he needs
different.
it to
Right.
balance out this year.
Um,
Yeah.
Althea, are there other departments that it's the same situation where they don't get their grant money back until near the end of the year?
No, with
Only the
CDBG,
police department?
um,
I'm just
go
asking.
ahead and speak.
I'm sorry, my conversations with Michelle Johnson was that she just spends over and then reconciles it at the end with that.
So she doesn't get hamstrung at the end of the year like y'all?
She just spends over whatever that.
Well, I'd rather them not do that, city manager. Let's, if we can solve it on through finance, right? So Althea, you saying you can come up with something where you don't have to wait till the end of the year to make sure they get their funds back in their budget so that they can have enough time to spend it as it was appropriated for to begin with.
If the department works with finance as far as when they're encumbering their funds, because typically it goes before council and they create a PO and they can account for, there's a general fund piece portion as far as when there's grant funding. It's normally 80% of the project, 80% of the project is grant funded, 20% is city cost. So you show the 20% under the department's budget and the 80% expense under the grant funds.
Okay, with city manager, make sure the departments work with finance and with you to make sure that they get it in early enough at the right time. And if there's a schedule they need, no reminders, we want to make sure that everybody's covered and they don't have It's money they can't spend at the end of the
And
fiscal
our
year.
grants are 100% reimbursement.
And what happened with Michelle's grants this year, we didn't approve the budget amendment based on the project, so I had to come to you late in April to get those funds appropriated. Because the council approved the project and the grant, and we brought the budget amendment forward to account for those grant dollars. But it didn't get approved till April.
And-
So I'm
and-
my 15 cards.
Okay, I won't say.
I'm planning on, like I say, it's up to me, but we got other folks here too. We gotta- we
And so
gotta finance
15 is the million?
It's gonna tell us.
15 is a million. But I brought in 900.
No, we got
last
you. I
year.
got you. No,
I done paid for the
no,
cards.
you've been singing for your supper. No question about it. No doubt about that.
And Chief, I asked Ron, I need to work with him, tomorrow and Wednesday, some stuff that we need to,
Why?
yeah,
Oh,
right,
but
yeah.
he got his own schedule. He do his own.
And one thing we got to be cognizant of, all grants have requirements. And we have to follow the requirements.
We better hurry up
Not
and get
just
them
about
grant
them.
folks in here. All right.
I had a question on page 3. 58,1200. What were we finishing up there in fiscal 23? And that's probably a Ms. Flord Bradley question.
What is?
On page 3, the capital lease principal and interest. What did we finish paying off?
Radios.
Oh, there was radio. Okay, I was just curious. Budget transaction report. Any of the exhibits?
Was it a maybe on the 15? I didn't get a consensus. A maybe.
All right. Okay, so
You're doing the right thing, press us, don't let us.
how much longer is it gonna take to get them outfitted, in addition to the ones we got sitting waiting to get outfitted? How can we accelerate that?
Well, if approved 15, we're not gonna see those, just like you just now seeing these, and those was approved last year. These 15 not gonna come in.
They won't come till next year?
So these,
Okay.
the ones that you see on the lot, they will be way in service.
All right, okay, we gotta
So
get
that's
them
a
on
yes.
out.
So yes from me, but is there, I'm consensus, but they, so basically the price that we're looking includes the outfitting of the vehicle, okay,
Yeah,
all right. that's
but we
fine.
can't, but we gotta step it up, we gotta,
But these cars.
Grab the
I
equipment.
know, I hear what you're.
That's the delay.
By the time we purchase them, just like you see them now, like this April, May is when they start coming in. These 15, if approved, won't get into April, May of 25.
I just remember this being about 25 cars a while back. So that's what I'm still thinking. We still have not gotten to at least the 25 vehicles that we needed to have.
And this is the 1 million that we were talking about
Yes, ma'am.
earlier for the 9 and 6.
Yes, ma'am.
you're still gonna try to get them from Wade?
Yes, we're looking for the best price.
That's the black-owned
Yes.
outfit dealership. All right.
Councilman. Councilman. All right, I got 15. All right, we can move on. What's next?
All right.
Appreciate you. Yeah, we added 15.
Yeah, all electric vehicles, man.
No.
I'm just
Which one next, man?
Corrections. Questions on the org chart?
We're still contracting with East Point, right?
Yes, yes.
Still same rate?
Do we have all these positions filled, Chief?
Except for one part-time jailer. Everything else is good.
And that salary, I guess, is.
And those positions did receive a
They increased. And
good
that's-
significant.
Yes, and that's the reason why we were able to fill all our jailer positions, and we have one part-time jailer. We're just missing another part-time.
So when we talk about part-time as a jailer, about how many hours a week are we talking about?
They don't, part-time is 56 hours a week.
So it's about 28 hours, and they're getting paid $20,000 a year. Okay, it's still low. Okay, all right.
What's our East Point rate now? Nowadays?
I can get it to you.
I remember I broke that out.
Because it's on the agenda for the next council meeting for payment. Put it out.
So it's still not the 23, but it's closer than some of them, yeah.
Chief, do they sometimes are able to, man, I don't know, pull some dual duties or whatever, since there ain't a whole lot of action down there? I guess you got them doing other stuff.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we don't wanna just sit around twiddling your thumbs.
So, okay, the question with the jailer, I see one part-time jailer position for 39,000, then I see another one for 20,000. Is that a mistake? Is the 39,000 part-time supposed to be full-time?
Yes, there were supposed to be 2 part-time positions and only 4 full-time positions, but it seems like one of those part-time positions was hired on as a full-time position.
What? Can you explain that one more time now?
Based on what I have, there are 6 positions. 4 of those positions are supposed to be full-time and 2 of them part-time. However, one of the part-time positions has been hired. It seems like they're working full-time hours because they also have, they don't have the actual, I don't see where they have coverage for insurance. So it seems like they're working more so full-time hours.
So it's a full,
So they're
it's a person, go ahead.
Okay,
No, let you-
so they're part-time, but they're achieving enough hours to the point where they're almost at a full-time salary.
It seems like they're being recorded as a full-time. I don't know when it happened, but it seems that happened. Because I've always had it at 2 part-times.
Barksdale, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Because she's part-time.
Who is that?
Barksdale.
Okay.
Because she's full-time. See, Eden.
Herndon.
Questions on page 1?
Because, okay, so back to so basically, part-time. So can we get this clarified then? I mean, because if you have if the part-time person is really working, if a part-time person is really working full-time, doesn't that affect the benefit package as well? I mean,
Yes.
I have to check,
So-
because I have 4 full-time jailers, one on each shift. So Barksdale should have been working part-time.
She's showing up right now as part-time, yes.
part-time, but still at 39. I mean, they're talking about 39,000.
So so if the chief now has 4 full-time and 1 part-time, then that salary will be adjusted down.
So what's happening, it seems like your part-time person is having to work full-time because you don't have a second part-time person. Is that what it is?
No, I have 4. I'm allotted 4 full-time jailers.
No, the full-time,
Uh-huh.
but you were supposed to have 2 part-time.
Correct.
And you have
Yes.
1 position open part-time.
Yes.
So your person who's working part-time appears to be working full-time
We'll have to
because you
see
don't
her.
have the other part-time person.
We'll have to see, and I would just say, let me double check.
Okay.
Because Ms. Jewel, who's our payroll,
She worked on some
anytime any
transition.
part-time employee goes over a certain hour, she come and talk to me. She's never talked to me about Barksdale. So which leads me to believe there just may be some misunderstanding here in the room, but I can get it clarified.
Because the thing is, I think what we're just trying to look at is what the person's salary rate is, because if that person's really a part-time person, their salary should still be showing what the part-time salary is, but in the budget, it would be showing us what they were actually paid.
Because we only had this 4 full-time person for maybe a month, and she was kind of helping when we didn't have
Yes.
a full-time jailer.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
that is.
Yeah, they had it classified at one point as full-time when I went to the system.
Okay.
So there's been a change since this.
And I don't have a problem with salary. I was just trying to get an understanding of how many part-time, how many full-time. Yeah. I still think the salary's low.
I want to get a couple of questions answered, I guess, when you, so, I mean, you coming back in when courts come back, I guess. Or do you need to- well, I could just get them answered. So I always see that one line with drug seizures, and it's always so doggone low. I'd like to just see how much totally, I'd like to see how much totally, in terms of how much drug seizure money we've gotten and received probably over the past, say, 6-7 years. I'd just like to see a total there.
Okay.
So if you could get me that. And overall, overall with our crime stats,
150,000.
150,000.
over the past 7 years,
And that number's growing.
over the past, is that, well, just, can you get that actual number to me? Over the past 7 years, how much drug seizure money? The other thing I would like to get is just where are our actual crime stats today compared to, say, 2022, exact 2 years ago, where were they exactly? I just want to see a side by side on that. But we got to get these patrol cars outfitted and on the road that we got sitting. So I think that, I mean, I would make that a priority if I were you, figuring out how we can get that equipment in here. So,
Additional questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2, which doesn't have very much. Transaction report. Any questions on the exhibits? Moving on to E911, questions on the org chart.
any vacant
Question
positions
about
here?
vacancies, yeah.
I think you mentioned 4 at one point.
We're still 4 full-time dispatchers down. All our part-time positions are filled.
Now that's an issue. I know we talked about that
Yes.
too with the city manager. Now, I always say 911 that there's some residents that pretty much never need many city services at all. Some of them don't use Parks and Rec. Some of them don't utilize some of the different things that we have, but they pay full freight for their taxes. And the one time that they need somebody, they dial 911. I do not want folks on hold. That happens so much in Atlanta that it's
But one
it's a
thing, even
mess.
though we're down, I don't get in, people call and tell me and complain. The dispatchers that we have down there are a real good group. They don't mind coming in to ensure that the shifts are always covered, the phones are answered, and they get the services that they need.
Okay. Well, what we talked about last month is how do we fill those 4 positions? Those are first responders in every sense of the word, and I know they're lower paying deals, so we
We gave
want
them
to.
an increase, which has helped sustain the ones that we do have not left.
I remember. So how do we get 4 more in? Again, I want to make sure we're fully staffed in 911 because that's just very important to me. At the end of the day, that's the call. That's the most critical need that a resident could possibly have, and to be understaffed is just not a good idea. So where are those salaries averaging at? Where do they start at? What do we?
Like 39 for
For
dispatch.
full-time, you have, I think your
I think the lowest
lowest,
is like 30,
it's actually.
39,
I
38,
don't see 39, I actually see 42.
42.
Does anybody know what it is?
Yeah, 42. So
It's 42.
I'm more comfortable with
That's
that.
where it starts?
But now my question is supervisor. What is the supervisor pay there?
67.
Okay, it's not reflected here.
No.
Okay.
So I remember you mentioned the high stress of the job,
Ms. Mingo,
which
who's
is
the supervisor?
Miss Mingo.
Okay, it's not correct here on the chart, on this chart. Okay. All right.
Chief. I was saying I remember when we talked about it. You mentioned one of the reasons why the positions aren't filled is because of the high stress nature of the job or whatever. So Is it the pay really, or is it just finding the people? If we bump the pay up a bit, would it make a difference?
It would be an attractive offer to get an advertisement, but we get people in, but because it's high stress, people realize it's more than just answering the phone and dispatching off.
Okay, well, I just want us to figure out a way to make sure we fill those positions. You know, if, I'm sorry.
You know, I know we talked about compression, so what I'm seeing somebody being paid 59 and somebody being paid 60.
She's right at 69. That must be.
Right, that was old.
It's 69?
Yes.
60, but what about the one that's 59? So, I mean, you got two people in the same, do we have two supervisors? You see how those are, they're, whatever. So, we got different salaries on different reports over here. All these have different salaries. Some it's the salaries are showing up different depending on what report you look at tonight. They're not the same. So one says,
Yeah. Well, there was an adjustment just recently.
because what I have here is the supervisor makes 57,000 and the communications and operators making 56.
The chief just confirmed that there was a recent adjustment.
Okay. So
The other,
still was it 60,000 for the supervisor, and like I said, depending on when you look at the second,
And
the next salary is showing 59,000.
Because that person's been here forever.
forever, yeah, that employee number is in 1,000. And we're in
Okay, and I guess, no, I'm fine with it. I'm just talking about something came up in one of our earlier meetings about not raising people's salaries because of compression, and that there are department heads that would be making just a few, maybe in this case, 1,000 or 2,000 from somebody that's under them. So what do we do to address those issues?
One thing that we have, because this particular operator is such a senior operator, is making her a lead.
Which is good. That's good.
She would be, kind of when the supervisor is not there and she's there, she would be like the lead operator to go to.
Yeah.
And that has been addressed as well.
And I do like that, because I think that's another thing that we want to be looking at as a city, having something more transition set up, meaning each department should have somebody, department heads, to have someone in that department that could step in and take over or be prepared for that position, so that if we do have a retirement or somebody having to go on FMLA or whatever, you have somebody that department can continue to flow. So succession planning is what we need to be looking at.
Well,
and I know recruitment, sometimes police, they lean towards police officers, but we will put a more of an effort to be just as aggressive with the operators.
Well, Chief, it's as important or more important. Here's the reason why. I mean, I see 41,822. If that's not the number, I don't want situations where a 911 call, some of the time is a life or death call. Obviously, I think everybody that calls thinks it's life or death, whether it is or not, I would imagine. But it's the most important call we ever get. Something happens, and we're making, and that call comes through, we can't make it on time or whatever have you, one way or another. I don't want residents saying, hey, I dialed 911, it took too long, something happened that was maybe preventable or whatever have you, but then they discover we're 4 911 operators short. I just don't like the look of that. That's what I kind of worry about. we're going to give you the cars you want. We can give you everything you ask for. But how do we fill those 4 positions? I want those positions filled. I don't want a resident to say that, hey, I call 911. They got 4 vacancies there, and I just want to see how we can fill those.
College Park, actually, as far as communicators, we're a little bit above some of the municipalities. But
okay, well, going by that logic, do we actually need 4 additional? Do we only need 2 additional? I mean, since you opened up the door.
The announcements are out there. Staff pull applications. They go through Yes, we would like to fill the positions, but we want to fill the positions with quality people. We
Understood.
don't want to just hire somebody
I
and
got you.
it becomes, it mess up the morale that they have down there. Now, that's another problem.
Understood.
To hire somebody to just fire them. But we're actively recruiting to trying to find the best fit and the best person
Okay.
for those.
If you can, HR, you can tell me how long those 4 have been vacant, so I just wanna know. But let's double our efforts to get that, if we can get that filled. Again, I agree with you, we got quality people, just can't throw anybody in there. But I just think we need to fill them. Those are
Yes, sir.
very important, I think we need to fill
Yes,
those.
sir, I totally agree.
Okay.
And just an FYI, the general fund currently transfers, $896,000 into the 911 fund. Help support them.
All right. Yeah, that's always.
And
not-
one of the things we had talked about.
It doesn't cover itself.
Technology that I'm looking at is the school enforcement cameras. I've already had Blue Line come down, to do a study. It's ready to go for me to present, to mayor and council and the city manager. I'm just waiting, College Elementary has been up since 2015. With the new Promise Academy coming in Main Street, but those Main Street and College Elementary have never been deemed school zones by Fulton County.
We gotta get
So,
Fulton County schools to do
They,
that.
as soon as they can come out and put up a sign that says school zone, we can roll that new technology out. And me witnessing the amount, not only the safety of it keeps the kids from people from driving as fast, that brings in extra revenue that goes into the general fund for the city.
But we had a talk around with that, Tracy, with Tracy Wyatt, actually, when Kimberly was around, and asked about that. But I think we need to look at some cameras
So-
in the schools.
So I'm looking at, hopefully we can get that and that roll that out before the new school year.
A lot of the other cities have them, and they're only valid for, an hour before and an hour
Hour
after school, so
Uh-huh.
it's not, but.
It's not an all-day thing, but it tremendously helps with the problem of speeding, especially when you have these kids on.
Yeah, something to look at.
Okay.
And it's a revenue generator to folks that ain't supposed to, if it's flying. I mean, we got the speed humps, we got all the stuff, but you gotta do what you can, I guess.
There are questions on page 1, revenue? I have one. Why are we anticipating a rise in landline revenue from E911?
We aren't, that's the same amount we collected 2023. The revenue is just late because we receive it from the state now versus directly from the cell phone or the landline, AT&T or your Verizon's. The state is now managing that process.
Okay.
And Chief,
And it's like 3 months behind.
again, maybe you can assign someone to help with Dr. Emmanuel work on this 911 plan to get those fees. Figure out a way to do that. I think up here with customer service is probably the easiest way to do it. If we come up with some kind of incentive to change over your address, we can get that $150 a month from thousands of folks. And then the benefit of it is, because we have a kind of a transient population, when they move there, they're not likely to change back over. That's why we ended up with most folks here in College Park that the other cities get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to put together a campaign to, hey, change over your address so that those 911 fees come here, so we can make up that $800,000 deficit. I've been
Yeah.
talking about that for 3 years.
Prior to the state taking over and regulating that process, the funding used to come directly to us, and it was more than what we're receiving now. That's been the issue too. I don't know how the state is regulating their piece of it. We tried to figure out by contacting the Department of Revenue, but could never get to the bottom of why ours decreased so much.
Well, we don't have a lot of people that would change their address. A lot of people don't change their driver's license when they move here. Y'all know all about that. So imagine changing your phone carrier address so we get that $1.50 a month. That's worth a lot of money. So, yeah, I want to work on that.
Any other questions on page 1? Moving on to page 2. Page 3. Transaction report. Confiscated drugs. Any questions? State drugs. Any questions? It's 9/11.
So we're not expecting anything coming in this year, or,
We can, budget for compensate.
okay, it just, if it just comes
It
in.
just comes in.
Okay, thank you, that was the only question I had being new to this, okay, thanks.
Bye.
No, but this is not for Chief. This is for HR, for all of us. Making sure that the report that we have is exactly what I'm asking for, so that we will all have the same information. So we have, no, thank you, Chief, thank you. So we have the reports that I've asked for in reference to, okay. The two reports that we have, I want to make sure that I'm clear on what it is that I think will help us as we're starting to look at funding the mayor's request as far as an increase for staff. But until we have the right information in place, I don't think that we'll be able to do the appropriate analysis. So what I would like to see we have two reports. The first report is to be the information that I asked for, but I want to see it at the beginning of the fiscal year of 24. The salaries were at a certain rate, whatever that was, right? Right. And then if there is a change that took place between now and then, I want to see what that difference is. So for example, July 1st, somebody's salary was at $125,000. Up until now, they may have received some type of increase to their salary. I want to see what that is. Right. I want to see what that is. All right. So that's what I meant by that difference. All right. So that's the current, the difference between the current and what I'm asking for, if you will. Right. All right. Once we have that, then for us to look at that 4% COLA. Right. Right. So I want that percent difference that they've already received this year, the 4%, if we were to do that, to the maximum of $3,000 for every employee.
Also, what if the COLA is, if it's 3.2 or 3.4?
4%.
Well, again, what the actual COLA is there's a COLA number for this for 2024. And when I read it was 3.2, was the COLA, according to the government Social Security Administration, there's a COLA number. And I wanted us to.
Are you talking about for the federal government? Right.
I wanted us to be in line with the federal and the state COLA.
Well, so the mayor's request was for a 5%, right? And so my study, if you will, is for us to do something equivalent to what the state has done for other state employees, right? Not saying that we're a state entity, but that it may help us to get this number inside of the budget, right? Along with the fact that we also need to fund Christmas bonuses.
And that's what I was going to get at. 4% is a great code. 5% is a great code. And the state was able to give a big. The state got $16 billion in surplus. So keep that in mind.
I'm not. You're right. I'm not saying.
I would feel more comfortable with 3.2 community direct.
Your mic is not on.
So I want to look at the 3.2 so that we got the bandwidth to do all this other stuff that we got. So it's just, I mean, just something to think about. I'm not against 5% necessarily, this, that, and the other, but I want to look at the COLA. If it's a COLA, I want to match. I'd like to be in line with a COLA that we can afford at the same time, afford to do a few $1 million of extra stuff that we're planning on doing as well, and be good and not dip too far into reserves on this stuff. So I mean, I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
just, you know,
I still want to see the study.
I do too. I
Okay.
do too.
I
wanna
want to see the
what-
study. It doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that we're going with the 4%, but I do want to see
Gotcha.
what the number is going to be.
I want to see 4% too,
Okay.
Krista. I want to see 4%. I want to see 3.2 as well too, and get the exact what the federal what the federal is right now. The COLA for 2024, whatever that is. I read 3.2. Someone said it's 3.3. Tomato.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I looked at it year over year.
Well,
The,
let's look at it for when we're coming now. What is it? What is it now? I guess that's the best way to look at it. We're budgeting now. The COLA is 5% now. No, it's not. Not even close.
the thing is if we
Okay,
stick
let's
with
look at it.
year-over-year,
Let's
it's
look at.
essentially flat.
I want to look at what it is now.
Right.
We're budgeting for now.
So
Okay, so all right.
You got it. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, right? Because I was like, she did a whole lot of work, but it's still not getting to right. And I'm sorry.
please don't.
I want
We
to
need
ask for it to
airflow.
be closed.
Oh,
Is the air not on or what?
I don't know, but what's some airflow?
All right, well, give me 2 minutes. I just.
Yeah,
Do we?
we're still streaming.
Well, one of the things I did want to look at and talk about is airport safety. Now, you know, we created this quite a while back, and there were a couple of reasons we created it. One was the airport was commandeering land at a geometric rate in College Park. We had a map that showed over every 5-year period how much more land the airport purchased. I suggested that we put together and establish that department because we need to have, we want candidates for firefighters like this. Chuck did not agree at first, and after we got a royal shellacking from the city of Atlanta attorneys a couple of times, he said, "Hey, what's that thing you were talking about we might need?" And I was like, "Okay, just in the nick of time, great." So we did establish that department, that director of airport security. The purpose of the department is twofold. One, to fight to get our land back from the city of Atlanta. So they had taken the board to the security tickets that happened in the city, what's now the 635. Two was to ensure that the majority of our residents had an opportunity for noise insulation. The majority of our residents were multi-family apartments, which is still the majority of our, even all throughout every ward, the majority of the residents are going to be apartment residents, with the exception of renters. The FAA rules did not include multi-family because they did not consider that residential. They considered that commercial. However, obviously, it's both. It's residential and commercial. I live in the apartment state. And I hound Congressman Lewis. We followed him for 2 months, but everywhere he turned around, it was me. And I was, and I remember we had a big meeting with Costa. He was there, Congressman Lewis, and we started to kind of sway him over. And Atlanta was trying their best to stop us from convincing him. And I kept slipping those punches and jabs to the body, and I kept digging, and we finally got it. Over $40 million worth of noise insulation for apartments. We never got it. Anyway, it's my sense that that position has technically served its purpose. That's what it's created for. Now, we're going to live with the airport forever. It's not going anywhere. It's still going to be there. But essentially, I want us to look at possibilities. I don't think there's going to be a need for that position in this present room. I want us to look at maybe considering funding that for the again. Now, at some point in the future, intergovernmental affairs is something that we always I don't, that's a position right now, I don't think we really do.
So you're asking about the consumer price index. If you look at the social security, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's say where we at.
Okay. I don't know, everybody was, so, but I was looking it up.
Okay, well, we can get that tomorrow.
Okay.
I disagree.
All right, but I want us to look at it and talk about it until we come up with.
So when was that discussion you had?
Well, we're looking at budget right now. I think that is so that literally serves the purpose. That's what's trying to.
You turn on your microphone.
When we're done with going through all of the departments, what is the next step?
Well, the plan is to come before you on June 3rd with the budget workshop, because either June 3rd or March 22nd, but it will be late as far as, I keep saying March, May, I'm sorry. So the initial thought was to bring it back before you on March 22nd. However, our meetings don't end until March 16th, so the agenda package would have already gone out. So my recommendation was then to bring it back before you doing budget workshops, excuse me, not budget workshop, but the council workshop meeting on June 3rd. And at that workshop, you would have to make a decision based on, and I would have Ed Wall here, based on the recommendations we're making, where you want basic everything to fall. Then come the same day, meeting at 7:30, you have to adopt the budget based on the recommendations.
So before that time, will we have the opportunity, like, of course, I'm taking notes, I'm sure you're taking notes as we're going through or what have you, of yes, we want to keep this, no, we don't want to keep that, or what have you. Will we have like a little worksheet or
We
whatever that we
normally
can turn
do.
back into you to
We
let you know
normally
what to
do.
keep and what to eliminate?
Yes, we normally do. However, because we're pressed for time, we would have to, if you want it to be somewhat of a meeting to discuss the budget changes or the additions or whatever recommendations there may be based on what I provide you, we would have to call some type of special meeting because there aren't any more meetings scheduled right now. And that would basically fall in the week of the council meeting on that week of May 22nd, because you're not available on the 20th, 21st.
Well, I mean, is this something,
Probably May 23rd, the next day.
I guess my question is on whatever this like checklist or whatever, is it something that we can, is it like
I will provide it to you
Okay.
based on, because right now I am keeping track in Excel of all the changes, and
Gotcha.
I'm making those changes as far as like the consensus changes in the budget document. So it would come back before you saying, hey, these are the additions, these are the additional requests. Here's our recommendation as far as like how we fund these. And you can basically tell me how to move forward, or direct the city manager how to move forward.
Okay, I have a question too about the timeline. So basically, we're doing now with the workshops.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we're going to have you're saying during our council meeting, we'll have a budget workshop?
But it seems like the council wants it prior to that,
Okay, so we
June
have
3rd,
that. But
the
then-
23rd.
In terms of when does the public get to speak on the budget?
June 3rd and June 17th. They have two opportunities.
Public will speak on the budget June 17th, and when do we vote?
And June 3rd. They will speak on it June 3rd and June 17th, and you vote on that June 17th.
So we're
'cause
going to have to, so basically, really, if the public wants to get serious input that could affect changes in the budget, they need to be there on June 3rd. Because June 17th is,
normally it would happen during the budget. I would see that happen during budget workshops, but
people don't get a chance to speak during the budget workshop, the public. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, is the budget.
June 3rd,
It'll be
yes.
during the workshop session, not
Yeah.
during the.
Here is during the basic. Here is during the adoption, the public hearings. However,
Right.
normally we have where I've been previously, we have the community engaged. We have some type of engagement with the community where we do it during the budget workshop and prior to the budget workshop. But it seems here we're doing it during the public hearing.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people have an opportunity to speak without us having to make that decision. I mean, I know it's going to still happen, but I just want people to understand that if you need to be there in the June 3rd meeting. I mean, you can come to June 17th, but will you really, I mean, we can talk about it, but the ability to really make a change or to give input on the budget needs to happen sooner than later.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And next year, that can be something whoever the city manager is that can plan for prior to the budget workshop, so that a lot of the community request is basically considered by the council. We would normally have some type of community engagement prior to the budget to see how we would fit that in.
Another question for you. So after this May 23rd meeting that we have, the changes that we've made, because we've been making some changes now, will those be published on the city website?
Yes.
Okay, so people will have a chance to see, because we have something out there now, which is just a little, I would call it a draft. So the next thing is going to be more of what we have come in consensus with, I guess, after the May 23rd meeting, and that'll be posted online.
It will be the additions, the changes made. That will be the only document posted. Once everything is adopted, then the website is updated because
but
they
there
can be
will be
some
changes posted.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to get understanding, but I also want people to know in terms of how so they can govern themselves accordingly to be able to have that input in the name of transparency.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure that I understand. So May 16th is our
Last
meeting.
hearing. Yeah. I mean, it's
Or
not
last
workshop. Excuse me.
I'm sorry. All right, and so how soon after May 16th will we be able to see the additions, deletions list?
I don't know if there's any deletions.
Well, actually, and that's the point. That's why I'm asking the question.
We did delete
I'm
something.
like-
We did
Well,
change something.
That's the reason why I'm asking the question that I'm asking, because we have not had the discussion about deletions. I would imagine that as we've been going through this process, that somewhere in some of our minds, I'm not going to speak for y'all, I'm going to speak for myself, that we've been notating items that we may want to have removed from the budget. So how do we get that information to you to...
I can't just remove them.
Well, no, I understand that we're going to have to vote on it. But what I'm saying is, I mean, are you going to collect a list from us? Like, what do we
We
do? How we
typically
doing
don't
that?
do that. It happens at the workshop table.
We've also done it. There are other ways that we have done it. We have had before in the past some 202s with the city manager, talk about things and just get our opinions on them. A lot of this, you know, we talked about y'all at the state meeting. The real budget, like even the state, it's another kind of meeting. I just put it that way, more or less. And that they've always done it that way at the end of the day too. We're more open and we're more transparent. We're a city. Talk about a whole lot smaller dollars, but at the end of the day,
Your mic is not on.
I know, I'm well aware.
You can talk about in executive session as far as personnel, then have that discussion there as well with the city manager.
Gotcha. Okay.
Executive personnel.
Right. If it's about a specific person.
Okay.
Or position
Right.
that's
So,
currently
a
filled.
specific position. So there are two outlets: executive session, and sometimes we had the 2-on-2s. A lot of times so that those are two mechanisms.
That meeting on the 23rd.
I am not available on the 23rd or the 24th.
Say it again?
I'm not available on the 23rd or the 24th.
have a meeting? Can we still?
I'm here on the 22nd.
22nd
Our meeting
is
is on the
council meeting.
22nd.
Okay, but the 23rd, we could still have a quorum, is everybody else?
Well, we need to do the 23rd or 24th because
Can we not do the following week at all?
I'll be gone on the 26th.
I'm out of the country.
I'll be out of the country.
What is the, and this is for us to solidify our list, is that what that is?
We'll
we do
walk it
Saturday?
through and
No, I have, that day, I've got stuff going on there.
25th, 26th?
I'm flying out on the 26th.
That's Memorial Day.
I mean,
that is Memorial
Yeah.
Day.
I was gonna say,
We-
yeah.
we,
that's
we need to do
yeah.
Friday. We need to do Thursday or Friday. Thursday or Friday. Roger, what you look
I
like?
guess we have to see.
So Thursday or Friday? All right.
All right, what day was
Nope,
that?
I'm not available.
Okay, well, Mayor, everybody can't be at every meeting. I mean, if the four of us can be there, we gotta do it.
The 23rd.
You wanna call in? Can you call in?
What time? Well, what day and what time?
23rd or 24th?
24th.
Which is easier for you?
You wanna call in?
Call in. Which day is easier for you?
What time are we talking about on the, we just gotta decide which day. 23rd or 24th. Yeah.
6 o'clock.
But you got that event. Alright, so then.
Okay, the Southfield Municipal Association meeting is the 23rd.
That's what I said, Friday.
And yeah. Unless we do it, so 24th looks better, yeah, if we're talking evening.
What time in the evening?
I'm
So
I'm
we talking about
good.
virtual? Can we do it virtual?
I think we probably
So-
need to be in here. I mean, I would suggest we need to be here. I mean, without, except
doing
with the
it-
exception of the mayor, if she's gonna be on phone, cause she said she couldn't make it today, then that's fine, but, you know.
Since we only have one day after the 22nd, we can still present because we're just presenting the list of changes, right, on the 22nd and having that discussion on the 23rd. Well, then we can do that on the 22nd like I initially planned to
At the meeting.
at the meeting during the workshop, having that discussion, if that's the council's will. We can do that during budget workshop on the
What, and then
22nd.
executive session for personnel to talk about?
Yeah, I wouldn't be in executive session. It would be probably, it would be,
He's not gonna be here at all.
oh,
Well, okay, not everybody can make it.
He can't even be here till the 24th.
to the 24th.
23rd, that Friday,
23rd is,
The 20th, yeah, you graduate on the 23rd, so you'll be back for,
on the 24th.
right, for the
So,
24th.
so the
city manager
24th
can
needs to be the day. So you're not gonna make the council meeting anyway?
No.
Okay, we knew
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
But we still can chop it up at the council meeting. I mean, at least get a list
At
together.
least everything
Yeah.
except for any, positions that we.
well, unless you.
So we still have to have a special call meeting on the 24th.
24th, yeah. So we do half of it on the 22nd, half of it on the 24th, and kind of come to some kind of
It'll be a short meeting.
consensus, yeah.
It's 7 o'clock.
It'll be on the
Things
executive
from
session.
that 5 to 7.
So what is, so you're having executive session on the 24th. We'll have the budget workshop on the 22nd and then the executive portion on the 24th, or we doing, I guess I'm trying to get
I mean, we could
clarification.
have a little bit, I mean, the 22nd, you're gonna present with your list we got, and on the 22nd, if we need to go into executive session for something, we
But-
can.
But the city manager
I
won't be.
understand, but
yeah.
it's still a council meeting. We can still talk about it if we want. And then we got all the extra meeting on the 24th if we got extra. So, you know, just we play it by ear, see how it goes on the 22nd. If there's something we need to talk about in an executive session, we still can do it. Now, you could phone in on the executive session too. You could call in and we could have you in here.
So when the agenda initially goes out.
It'll
I
be
won't have
9 o'clock.
anything on there.
9:30 on the 22nd.
The agenda goes out on Wednesday.
Then we
this
need to
Wednesday.
put personnel, potential, litigate, put
Yeah,
all
so
three
it's
on
just going to be a
executive session.
title without any attachments
Right.
until probably Friday on
But
the,
it will be on the agenda. still.
yes, and then once, yeah, because our last meeting is on the 16th, so I won't have any up to date in numbers. But the agenda item goes out on the 15th, actually before we even have our meeting Wednesday and Thursday, because we have two. So my cutoff,
Then she could put everything.
City manager, since
My
you
cutoff, I won't have my reports
Since you're
ready.
gonna be out of town, I mean, could you modify that cutoff a bit, or I don't know how much you got on the agenda, but it's up to. I mean, y'all worked it to make it. If you need a if you need.
yeah, Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, but again, well, y'all, if you can
Extend it.
But we need to get the agenda to our citizens. Don't we need to get the agenda needs to be on the website by Thursday.
Well, at the latest Friday. Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like last week was Friday.
So we have quite a bit of work to do because we need.
But
to
the
have-
other option is to leave everything the way it is and have a special call meeting, because a special call meeting can, 24 hours in advance, you have to have. That would give Althea the time that she needs, it would be to give the city manager the opportunity to be there.
Either way, I mean, yeah.
Like I said, that 20. that
So should we just do a
Thursday.
special call meeting on the 24th and be a full meeting?
Well, just to go over the changes and
Okay.
go into executive session, so.
So we have the regular meeting on the 22nd and the 24th covers everything else?
Budget wise.
Budget wise.
All right.
What time?
What time is it?
When I get off work?
Seven.
I may get off work early. I mean,
Seven.
I may get off work early, you know, because that is before the holiday, and I don't know what that is, but I'm going to shoot for 5 p.m.
So you wanna say 6
Let's say 6 o'clock, 6:30 to be
I would
safe.
say 5:30.
5:30. You don't want to give yourself a, I mean, okay, whatever. I mean, whatever works for you. 5:30 or 6 is fine either way.
All right.
All right, 5:30 on the 24th.
All right, so we're done at 9:36.